the door. Welcome to the round table.
We go good.
Welcome to the round table. The data, no costume, just the facts. Every claim get weighed, every week point snap. Mr. Morpheus at the edge with the numbers in his hand. Elder Yara sets the tone, now the whole room stands. Got the Reggie in the cut, got the grabs laid flat. Shay on the line in the whole panel chat. King J, bring the God energy, keep your vision clean. Sign it in the frame like a live news stream. News 102, got the truth in view. We don't chase the noise, we break it all in two. If it ain't built, don't prove it, don't make the grade. If it can't stand the light, then it fades away. Talk sharp, think deep, let the weak stuff fall. This is not a club, this is a council call. The round table. Leave your bodies at the door. The round table. We came to analyze more. Welcome to the round table. But where knowledge pays the score. Welcome to the round table. Only truth is currency. Yeah. Charts on the left side, notes on the right. Questions in the air till the answers bite. No ego at the gate, no fake throne shine. Just minds in the circle and the discipline line. Mr. Morpheus speaks slow, then the room goes still. Elder Yara cuts through with the laser drill. Dr. Reggie check the pattern, find the hidden scene. Keep it moving like a well-tuned team. King J say stay centered, keep the spirit high. Sign letter on the mic, make the details fly. Black news 102, got the archive lit. Welcome to the table, now commit. Take the pride off first, bring the facts in clear. If the answer ain't solid, it don't live in here. One ring, one circle, one coming round. Knowledge at the center, that's our only pride. The round table. Leave your beliefs at the door. The round table. We came to analyze more. Welcome to the round table, where knowledge pays the score. Welcome to the round table. Only truth is currency. Leave your beliefs at the door. Welcome to the round table. Where knowledge is the only currency. Leave your
Yeah.
beliefs at the door. Welcome to the
1 second.
Leave your beliefs at the door. Welcome to the round table. Welcome to the round table. We pull up with the data, no costume, just the facts. Every claim guilt. We pull up with the data, no costume, just the facts.
Peace to the family. We are live.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rocky. We are live.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear background noise.
Peace, family.
Yo. Can I be heard? You hear me?
Yes. Let me just check.
Okay.
Let me just check. So somewhere is I have. Okay, Morph, you can talk. I gotta figure this out.
Peace, family. Peace, everybody here.
Gotta figure this out.
Yeah, I got an echo. I don't know where that echo is coming from. All right. I don't have an echo, do I?
No.
Okay. All right. Peace, everybody. Peace and love. We here. Peace and love. I'm here with. I got an echo, man.
Yeah, Roger, you have YouTube open? Morph, do you have YouTube open?
No, I don't.
What about you, Yara?
Uh, nope, I don't have it
Let me check.
open.
Let me check Yara. Yara, do you have YouTube open?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, more. Keep talking.
1 2 1 2 1 2 2 1 2 1 2.
Okay, I think Yara, you're on twice, so you have YouTube open. More, you don't have YouTube open.
No. Let me try this.
I'm on
Hold up,
twice.
Reg. Hold on. Let me try this.
I don't.
Hold up.
Got energy? How you doing? Got
Peace,
energy?
peace,
How
y'all.
you doing?
Hey, salute, King.
Yo.
Okay, I'm gonna remove myself. I can hear you. Okay, I'm gonna remove myself. I can hear you.
Yeah. I hear you twice. Uh, okay. God energy, peace.
Peace, brother.
Okay. I think that was you, Reg. Y'all right. Say something real quick.
Yeah, peace to the panel, man. Peace to the round table.
Okay. All right. Okay. I hear you perfectly.
Okay. All right. Okay. I hear you perfectly.
No, right now I got an echo again. What the heck is going
No,
on?
right now I got an echo again. What the heck is going on?
Let me mute my mic and see if it's my mic. I don't think it is, but let me try it.
1 2 1 2. It might be. It might. Yeah, because I don't hear it now. 1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2.
Hold
Do
up.
you hear it now?
1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah, I still hear echo.
Yeah, I still hear echo.
Okay, that might be my mic. Let me try something.
Like when I
I
talk, I
think
hear echo.
Afro Nation Records is right. I think I do have a delay.
Yeah, we figure it out. I don't know why.
I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna come back in.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out and come back in. I might have an echo.
All right. Go out. Yeah, and come back in. See what happens. God energy. What's good with you, man? Welcome to the round table.
Peace, brother. All right, thanks for having us and hosting us.
Yeah. So you get to get a seat at the table. Certain people get a seat at the table. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Yeah, because what we created here, for all y'all who's can hear me, we created a council. The idea of this channel is going to be a council, a round table of intellectual thought, intellectual conversations. No debating. We won't be debating here. Very sorry. Nope. You go somewhere. We got the other channels for the debates. We're not debating. We're doing analysis on different subjects, looking at the data and doing analysis on the evidence. First, we're looking at whatever claims are. Then we'll be looking at the data and intellectually doing an analysis. So there is no biasness in this. We will be approaching it intellectually, scholastically, academically. So anything that we talk about, this is how we will be approaching it. And we will be doing this for hopefully a learning experience for people to be able to see a different aspects instead of us arguing all the time and debating and going after each other's throats. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So, what do you think about that, God Energy?
I think that's good. I think we definitely need a forum like that. You know what I mean? Maybe we could flesh out a lot of details and stuff like that. People could get more of they point out, get all of the data points out without feeling, rushed or getting sidetracked from other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the idea. That's the exact idea, to be able to put things on the table, and then we all who's on the council can do an analysis on the data. You know what I mean? And analyzing what we have. So that's what we're talking about. Okay, Yara's back in. Say something, Yara.
Peace, family.
Oh, I hear you. Great. Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Peace, Yara.
Peace,
Yeah, yeah.
family. How you
Yes,
feeling?
yeah. So we got big brother Elder Yara here with us, on the council, the round table. We got God Energy. We should be having Ashe join us on the round table. And like I said, the idea or thought and the theme of this particular channel or shows will be, like I said, addressing things on a scholastic level, academic level. You know what I mean? And talking about them. You know what I mean? Looking to see what we have and doing analysis and stuff, all this here stuff. You know what I mean? So we can intellectually talk about them, and we won't be. I'm very sorry if you think that we're going to be at each other's throats, y'all. I hate to disappoint y'all, but this is not that type of channel. Everybody here who's on the council are very, very intelligent, intellectual brothers, and we can all learn from each other. And that's what I hope to do: to be able to listen and learn, teach, learn. You know what I mean? Absorb, build. It's a build. This is a building channel. We will be building with each other, right? And taking it from there. So it's not always going to be about religion, y'all. Very sorry. We'll be talking sometimes scientific, sciences. We'll be talking of what's happening in the world, government. It could be politics. It could be economics. It could be what's happening in our communities. More important things, right? You know what I mean? So this is pretty much where we at. Brother Yara, the floor is yours. Anything you want to say or open up with? Or
Oh yeah, absolutely. First of all, man, peace to the panel, man. Peace to all you brothers. Peace to God Energy. Peace to Dr. Reggie. Peace to you, brother Morpheus, and the other brothers that will be joining us later. And hopefully, at some point in time, our sisters, our wisdom as well, be
yeah,
joining us. Um, I'd just like to say this. Shout out to Sinetta first and foremost, for allowing us to build over here on this platform once again. Bringing a
absolutely.
new, yeah, bringing a new element uh, on this channel in this particular area. We have come from various diverse backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, and different things like that. I like the concept. First of all, let me say this: shout out to brother Morpheus, man, because uh, let me make this known. You know, I'm here, God Energy. We're here in the inception, and others that have been joining us. But in a conversation that Brother Morpheus and I were sharing and actually building outside of this channel, uh, this was sort of his conception, right? Sort of his brainchild, right? And I was like, hey man, I'm with it. There's some things, you know, we discussed that we were able to find some common ground, and just actually build as brothers, right? Not being contentious, not being at each other's throats, sort of not laying our faith aside, but laying our religion aside, right? Without religion, and being able
Absolutely.
to talk and discuss with each other. And we sort of, and as we were talking, I know everybody's not here, but as we were talking, um, we started asking each other, who do you think we should have on or maybe invite on, because we want to have something like this. And I know brother Reggie was one. We put out I think almost simultaneously we said God Energy. Let's
Yep.
get him over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Um brother Ashe as well. Um And that's because as brothers, what we need to show and have is that we do respect each other's scholarship. This is not about a right or wrong, because
Right.
one thing I like what brother Morpheus said: let the people decide. It's our job, or it is our goal to funnel the information. So again, shout out to Sonetta for allowing us this platform once again. He is the architect. He's the godfather of it all, man. So we really appreciate that. And shout out to Morpheus for this idea. And like I said, one thing me and Morpheus found out in our park here, sometimes you can have a preconceived notion of someone, right? While you on these platforms, and it's like, I don't like that person, or that ain't my cup of tea, or I would never do nothing. But once we get past all of the contention,
And the
and it's
noise.
really contention and the noise, and it's really contention over religion. We're not even arguing faith a lot of times. It's religion we're arguing over.
Right.
And so once we get past that, I think we understand that we are first brothers, right? And then there is some commonality in that where we can all share and build and grow, and hopefully that'll spill over into the people that are listening, and that's what we want to build on. So man, shout out to you, man, brother Morpheus, for uh, for um for this idea, man. And I
Yeah,
think,
this is needed. This is definitely much
yeah,
needed
yeah, no
for the
doubt.
community. Yeah, God energy. You want to drop a little, open intro or whatever you want.
I mean, the brother Yara, he said it pretty much the best. But shout out to Satnetta for hosting us again, and shout out to you for putting together the forum. You know what I mean? For us to create something like a think tank, right? With all
Bingo.
all of the researchers that we have. I like how Yara said we shouldn't have a problem with acknowledging each other's intellectual prowess as researchers and respect each other as researchers, regardless if we disagree on this point, disagree on that point, disagree about our ancestry, right? We are still brothers in research. We are still brothers in this endeavor that we're taking on. You know what I mean? And I think creating a space and a forum for that is exactly what was needed. Was a niche that wasn't being filled. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I think it would be very powerful to create a think tank, maybe create a space where the competition of I'm right, you're wrong, I know this, I know that, I'm privy to all any source you could ever bring, and all of that kind of ego stuff. I
Yeah.
think this is a nice change of pace for us to possibly get some work done, get some clarity, and teach the people as much as they could learn, and teach the people as much as we have to offer. So I
A-
like the idea.
Absolutely. Brother Reg.
Yes. So, uh, thank you, audience, for tuning in. This is our debut show. There is a channel that Sonetta selected for us to be on. I think it's called the Roundtable 101. And he's given us the opportunity to be on on the big show today, on some of the other shows that will be on Roundtable 101. One of the things that we want to do on this channel, because we have our in-house guests, which is Ashe and Brother Ashe and God Energy and uh, uh, Brother Black Sage and yourself and occasionally myself, is that we want this to be a place where first um, everybody can put in their cash apps, right? So why? Because this is research. These are some of the best minds. We will also have other guests from the outside, from other
Hmm.
channels, very popular channels. And so what we want to do is make sure that research is valued. So we are asking when we put in anybody can put in their cash apps, and once they do, you can gift them $1, $5. We're not trying to break your bank, but or you could spread it around. But we want to make sure that everybody who asks research gets value, right? Does that sound correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So the
Absolutely.
difference between some of the other channels, if of course, if Brother Sonetta, shout out to Brother Sonetta, if he has a guest, then he puts in that particular person's cash app. But when we have a roundtable of
Mhm.
expert research, we want the audience, look, again, $1, $5, right? You just have to watch your budget, right? Um, Unless there's a sole a guest, a guest that we are highlighting that from the outside. But in the meantime, we definitely want, if you hear something that you didn't know, you like something, give a gift to the researchers, right? And I'm happy to be about this. So the topic of the day, we're going to start the show with the music again, and then we're going to introduce the topic. All right. So let me put the music in for the people that's joining, and then after that, we are going to start. Someone can reach out in the meantime to Brother Ashe, and I think also King J was invited. Correct?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Hey,
so if you can reach out to them by text, and let's get ready to rumble. Let
okay,
me
so Sonetta
wait
just
1 second. No, I gotta put in the music, and then you can come back on. All right?
okay.
No,
Go, go.
no. It doesn't work like that, more. Sorry. So here we go. After we put on the
Welcome to the
Turn it up, turn it up.
Welcome to the round table. We pull up with the data, no costume, just the facts. Every claim get weighed, every weak point snap. Mr. Morpheus at the edge with the numbers in his hand. Elder Yara sets the tone, now the whole room stands. Got the Reggie in the cut, got the graphs laid flat. Shay on the line and the whole panel chat. King J, bring the God energy, keep your vision clean. Sign it in the frame like a live news stream. Black News 102, got the truth in view. We don't chase the noise, we break it all in two. If it ain't built on proof, it don't make the grade. If it can't stand the light, then it fades away. Talk sharp, think deep, let the weak stuff fall. This is not a club, this is a council call. The round table. Leave your beliefs at the door. The round table. We came to analyze more. Welcome to the round table, but where knowledge pays the score. Welcome to the round table. Only truth is currency. Yeah. Charts on the left side, notes on the right. Questions in the air till the answers bite. No ego at the gate, no fake throne shine. Just minds in the circle and the discipline line. Mr. Morpheus speaks slow, then the room goes still. Elder Yara cuts through with the laser drill. Dr. Reggie check the pattern, find the hidden scene. Keep it moving like a well-tuned team. King J say stay centered, keep the spirit high. Sign letter on the mic, make the details fly. Black News 102, got the archive lit. Welcome to the table, now commit. Take the pride off first, bring the facts in clear. If the answer ain't solid, it don't live in here. One ring, one circle, one common ground. Knowledge at the center, that's our only try. The round table. Leave your beliefs at the door. The round table. We came to analyze more. Welcome to the round table, where knowledge pays the score. Welcome to the round table. Only truth is currency. Leave your beliefs at the door. Welcome to the round table. When knowledge is the only currency.
We are live. Roundtable. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Do me a favor. Red, can you put a link to the channel? So, cause we want to get people to join, Roundtable 101. You know?
Well, why don't you start the topic and I will open it
Oh,
up later, but you haven't started the topic.
okay.
So,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna be looking at a particular topic, which I want to open up it because it's not new, but lately there's been a real a whole lot of conversations throughout the internet on mysticism. And mysticisms are those people who don't believe, which is an argument that Jesus never even existed. So you have people who are mysticists. Okay. On the other hand, we have people who do believe that Jesus lived, uh, he died and resurrected. So what we're going to do at this point, what I would like to do is say, hey, okay, let's look at both arguments on both sides. Let's analyze together the data, right, that exists on the arguments. And at the round table here, we will take it apart, look at it. We're not telling you what to believe or what not to believe, but we're going to academically look at what we have. What do we have, right? As far as the topic is concerned, we're going to start off with this with the death of Jesus Christ. I call it the cold case of the death of Jesus. And let's look at the evidence, not faith. We understand that there are people who have faith in the story, but we will be looking at this from an evidentiary position, not a faith position, but an evidence position, and doing an analysis on the data. All right, and that they would be historical manuscripts, texts, history, and we will be analyzing this, all right, together intellectually. Okay, so that's the topic. That's what we're gonna start with, the first show. Okay, so uh, I would like to look at it and say, okay, because we have mysticists, people who don't believe, then we have to analyze. Well, why don't they believe the story, right? What are they looking at? And we already know the position of those who, you know what I mean, have faith. But we're taking faith off the table. We're just looking at the evidence and the data, and then we can draw or help you people to draw a better conclusion to make your own mind up. Excuse me, about what you think. You know what I mean? That's all we're doing. Uh, okay. Hey, anybody want to add to this? So far, Yara or God
Yeah,
Gizi?
I'll definitely add to it. I'll be brief. I really like the topic, right? And I'm gonna tell you what I really like about the topic is the element of looking at this as a cold case, right? I think that's a great way to look at it. I think that's a fresh way in this scope in this community of looking at it. Beside other than just do we believe Jesus existed, or did he was he a real person or not a real person? Um, but looking at the cold case evidence, right? Because in some way, a cold case suggests that there was an actual person that existed, but we don't have evidence to hold that, right? So what is the criteria for a modern cold case, right?
Right,
So having a legal background myself, I know that having a cold case in the modern term, you need DNA evidence, right? Um, you need the evidence can be somewhat circumstantial.
you need
right,
a body. We need a body. We need bodies,
Well,
right?
yeah, and sometimes you do need a body. But there are other instances, and Dr. Reggie's correct. In other instances, the question then becomes, what do you do in a cold case where there is no DNA or body?
That's
He,
correct.
interesting.
Right? And there are cases that we can look at where cases have been solved without DNA and without a body, right?
That's God energy. God energy does that.
so so I think so that's this is really why I like the way you worded this topic, because there's a lot to talk about, and I could do it without interjecting faith, right?
Right,
Which is what we really want to do, right?
right,
In this concept, because we can get bogged down on what I believe, right? And that's usually where the dog start chasing his tail, right? In a lot of these conversations, because we're
right,
not talking about what I believe. What is the somebody said in the chat, unsolved mysteries, right? so
right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um but again, and the brother I said, the new mindset set levism, he says not all cold cases require a body, right? Or for DNA. So I that's why I
He's
really
right.
like this topic.
He's right.
I really like this topic,
He's
because then we
he's
have to look at
actually
the
right.
facts. So yeah, I'm
Who
sorry.
said that? New mind. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. New mind, because
Hmm.
you are absolutely correct. So I would like to address and put on the floor. Okay, we all agree there's no body. Got you. Cool. We don't have a body. So
Hmm.
now we got to say, okay, what do we have? Let's look at what we do have and what we don't have. Right. So first of all, what is the claim? So the claim is that there was an execution, right? Crucifixion, however you want to call it, but there was a execution.
Hmm.
Okay,
A
cool.
murder.
All right, let's say murder. All right, right. So we all been in court before, right? We sat in court. We
Right.
said, okay. We stood for the judge, and then the judge told the prosecutor, present your case, right? Present your case, correct?
Yep. Yep.
So we said,
Hmm.
okay, cool. So what is the what is the case, right? That there was a murder, like you said, Reg. Okay. First part, we don't have a body. Cool. What do we have? Uh, we have uh, I will call them uh, um, when you call them gospels, but like in court, they would be called,
Witnesses.
yeah, witnesses, but affidavits. We have affidavits from so-called witnesses about what happened. Do we all agree?
That's correct. We
Yes, I would
Okay.
agree.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So if we put all this together, say, okay, y'all, uh, Reg, you brought up something to me. We talked earlier. It's like, who are the parties involved? Correct?
All the 12 original disciples. There's Jesus the Christ himself. There is his 12 disciples. There are the women associated, his mother and Mary Magdalene. And then there are Pontius Pilate. There's Caiaphas. There's Herod. There are people that Jesus came in contact with. And then there are the apostles, right? The ones who wrote the stories that are a little bit. Some of them are a little bit different than the actual people that walked and talked with Jesus. So those are a number of different parties. Everybody that came in contact with him, those are the affidavits that we uh, need, because unfortunately right now we don't have witnesses we can bring to the stand, but we have the affidavits, and then later we have the church fathers who right. So there are a number of parties, and then there's archaeology, of course, uh, whether or not uh, these followers of Jesus died as Hebrews or did they die as Christians? Were they buried as Christians or Hebrews? That's the archaeology. And God Energy, he does a better job than I of looking at archaeology in a sense of things that are there, things that are not there. So I think I've talked about who might we begin to talk about. Then there are people who was not there, who of course certainly not there. There's Paul, and you'll deal with Paul, and to include him or exclude him. But there are those people, and then there's the archaeology. There's where he was buried, where he was entombed, uh, where that was. Then there's interest in where other people died. Do we have more bodies? Do we have any bodies? Right? We have after David's, and then it's the chronology. So I'm gonna stop. God Energy is probably one of the better detectives in this thing. So I'll let him talk, and King J talk, and Ashe.
Well,
Okay.
I was, I think I've been thinking of the word hearsay as well, right? When you mention affidavits and stuff like that, I've also been thinking of hearsay when it comes to maybe Josephus, Tacitus, and things like that. When Eusebius is writing, when the early church fathers are writing and coming up with the fates of the 12 apostles, right? This I think falls into the category of hearsay if we're going to stick with the judicial jargon, and that's where I'm at with the process of elimination of what's credible with this because how credible is Tacitus? How credible is Josephus if we're accepting their word years after the event? And if we're looking for the parties involved, we're looking for genetic evidence, if we're looking for things that bring us to the time and date of this occurrence, do we accept people that live, decades later, like Tacitus and Eusebius and these individuals, right? Then when you look at the things associated with Jesus and his life, and we could find, parallels to other mythologies. Okay, are we going to hold that as credible to what happened in this situation? And then what are we left with, right? If we eliminate the mythology, if we eliminate those that are just bringing hearsay, what are we left with to represent a real biography of this individual, and when you erase these things, the biographical evidence falls with those that are coming with the hearsay, like Josephus and Tacitus, right? uh, a lot of people like to go to the historians and point to the literalist statements made by Josephus, the literalist statements made by Tacitus, meaning they mention Jesus in a literal way. So
Okay.
you know what I mean? But
Okay.
those are but that brings us to the individuals, that are bringing the hearsay. So
Oh,
I think it's an interesting case.
okay. 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 Let's put this on the floor. All right. I'm gonna
Mhm.
start with this. Uh, let's look at the earliest documentation or writings that we have. Right. The earliest Christian sources, and brother Yara, correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
would be Paul, right? But
Yes.
I think Paul, we can't use Paul in this case because Paul's attestation is a vision. We're not dealing with supernatural, right? Nothing supernatural, right? And we're not dealing with visions. We're trying to look at evidence, right? And so I don't think Paul would be acceptable in this case because he's talking about a vision that he had or a spiritual thing. You know what I mean? So I don't think Paul is acceptable in analyzing this case because he didn't know him, right? He didn't know him. Uh, he claimed to have known his brother, right? But that's problematic because he claims to have known James, but we have no confirmation from James that he knows Paul. Right? We don't have anything
Mhm.
from James that said he knows Paul. We have Paul saying that he met James, the brother of Jesus, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know how would we look at that? Like, you know what I mean? Paul, because to me, Paul is not a strong, you know what I mean? For me, looking at it, he's not a strong witness because he's not a witness. You know what I mean? Get God and yeah.
Yeah, and he would fall into a similar category that I had laid out. But with that too, where I'm at with Paul is Paul's actual existence, right? There's a cold case on Paul, right? So
Exactly.
but in this cold case about the historical Jesus, I don't think it's proper to use a figure who requires a cold case on his historicity as
Thank you.
well,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you. Hold on, let me say this real quick. Thank
Mhm.
you. That's why I want to eliminate Paul because Paul got his own issues, right? He got his own issues. So yeah, I agree with you. Okay.
Okay, look. Are you? I'm sorry. I didn't know it was there.
Yeah,
No,
the
go ahead,
floor
go
is
ahead.
That
the
okay, yeah.
floor is open.
Yeah. Here's what I would have to push back in regards to Paul, right? So we often hear the argument that Paul is not a good witness because he never physically met Yeshua. Yeah, I agree with that. He never physically met Yeshua. Um, but we hold him to a disdain because of that. But what we do know about Paul is that Paul was first uh, a Pharisee, right? And we know that the historicity of about Paul was that Paul was charged by the Jewish authorities to do one thing that we know about Paul, and that was to do what? Anybody? Anybody know?
To round up Christians,
Yeah.
but yeah, to round up
Right, to
Christians,
round
but
up
yeah,
Christians, right?
right.
So if Paul understood that his purpose was to round up Christians, the purpose that he would have taken to round up Christians was that there was a sect of Jews that were following a teacher or a rabbi, right? Because Christian, even in its term, simply means to be Christ-like. So there were a group of Israelites, a group of Jews, who were promoting to be Christ-like or like their teacher or like their rabbi, whom Paul was tracking down to kill. So whether or not Paul knew him personally does not disqualify Paul from actually knowing of him. Just as if I watched the NBA, right? I watched Michael Jordan for years. I've even been to some Bulls games. I even been to a crap game where Michael Jordan was shooting dice and
Mhm.
lost the baby blue Lexus right in front of me, right? But I don't know Michael Jordan personally, right? I was there and I never met him. I never shook his hand, never was able to speak to him. I didn't know him, but that doesn't discount his existence, right? Or
Wait,
that
I have
doesn't
to ask a
discount
question, Yara.
me being even more so importantly a contemporary
I
of
But
got
I
him.
have to
a
ask a question. I have to
Yes.
ask a question. So the
Hmm.
question is, you said that he was charged by the Pharisees or the Sanhedrin to hunt down Hebrews that were messianic. Do we have any evidence that they gave a contract, that they had the authority to contract? And then when he's hunting down people, he seems to be out of those territories, sometimes in Turkey or Damascus, in the road to Damascus. That's a far stretch for somebody going out there hunting down. So we would have to investigate whether or not there's a authority that Rome gave to them, because as far as I know, they had no authority This is under Roman, especially outside of, well, within the territories. If it, so, either it was Rome that he was working with, or we got Ashe. Oh,
Ashe, peace.
shoot,
Peace, brother.
right?
Mhm.
Since
So, if I may, that's a good point. Real quick, what evidence do we have outside of Paul saying that he was given authority to go after Christians? Now, I've
That
looked
was
at
my question.
right
What is the source?
right
Well,
because
Source.
let's let's talk
oh
about this, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
this
let's
is
talk. Let me finish first, please, if you
okay.
don't mind. Right, I've
Uh-huh.
looked at the Jewish the Sanhedrin. I've looked at the Talmud. I've looked at the writings of the Pharisees at that time, and I haven't not once come across any kind of documentation that they ever gave somebody, you know what I mean, a warrant to go after followers of Christ. Now I know Paul says that, you know what I mean, that happened, but the question is we're asking, how do we confirm what Paul is saying? Because if Paul is the guy at question, we can't take what he's saying, right? So my question, that I'm putting on the floor, is what evidence do we have that, like Reggie just said, that ever even happened, that he was given a warrant, you know what I mean, to go and search down followers? What do we have?
Well, what do we? So this is what we do have, right? And Reggie did say it. So we know uh 18 around 18 CE. I think it is somewhere around that 18 to 20 CE. The Roman governor Valerius, right? Um, he disposed Simon, who was the son of a high priest, right? And they appointed Caiaphas to serve in a particular role, right? Now, Caiaphas was the son of Annas, right, or Aeneas, right? You can read about him in the book of John, right? And so these were high priests that we know existed, right? Um, we know Valerius existed, right? He was a Roman governor. We have um, coins with his name on it. We know Caiaphas, right? We know Caiaphas existed, right? The biblical narratives tells us that it is Caiaphas who incited the Romans and incited those who were sided with him against the Christians, especially the followers of Christ. Now, you guys can say, now we're talking about a cold case, right?
Right.
So if we're talking about cold case and how cold case evidence stands in court, then this is well beyond the threshold of circumstantial evidence. This is what we could actually put into evidence because we know that these people existed. We know that the writings of these people of that time tell us that Caiaphas wanted Jesus dead. We know this, right? Then we have later on, right? We have Josephus affirms it. They all mention someone who was actually contemporary to the entire thing, not just Caiaphas, but Dr. Reggie pointed out as well. Pontius Pilate. We have the Pilate stone, so we know that he was there, right? We know Lucius Lucius Vitellius that deposed Pontius Pilate was an actual real governor in Syria around 430, 37, 40 CE. So we have enough circumstantial evidence in the cold case to present a motive.
Well, we don't. Okay, let me say this.
But your argument is about a cold case.
Right.
Cold case.
No, that's good. That's good.
So let's find the criteria again of what supports a cold case.
Okay. All right. So let's do this then. I'm sorry, God Energy. You go ahead. You go first.
So with that, right? What you've proven is that the Bible mentions individuals that really existed, and these individuals are associated with the persecution of Christians. But these individuals do not substantiate the existence of Paul, right? So even with this going on, you can write a fictitious character that fits in the events of real history. Like I invent someone and place him right in the Nazi regime, right? So
Mhm.
mentioning that Joseph Goebbels existed does not validate my created character. So if we're questioning the historicity of Paul, just citing that Christians were persecuted and the character Paul persecutes Christians does not validate Paul's existence. So what you more strongly validated was the existence of Christians, the existence of Christian persecution, and Rome's involvement with Christian persecution. So with Paul, the question is, was Paul a literary creation? Right? Most some associated with the school of Marcion. So that's where we're at with this. And mentioning Roman governors that actually existed does not exactly prove the existence of Paul.
I understand, but if we talk about the existence of Paul, then, and I'm glad you brought up Marcion because it is Marcion that no one argues against his existence. Marcion says directly that Paul was a real person. That's Marcion's testimony, and no one argues against Marcion's testimony. No one, right? They may argue against his theology, but they don't argue about whether or not he was a real person. And Marcion says that Paul was a real person, which who he
Yeah,
based most of his theology on,
his
right?
That's
Evangelion. Yes,
yeah,
Hold on, hold
Marcion's
on.
Evangelion was a
Yeah,
Pauline gospel. Marcion
absolutely.
had one gospel, and he said this was a Pauline gospel,
Yes,
right? So,
yes,
but with the school of Marcion possibly inventing this character, then relying on that and saying this is Pauline, there's a little bit of play there. But I'm with you on the fact that Marcion does promote Paul, right? And
yes.
people don't question Marcion. So I
right. He
Right.
get I
absolutely,
get
yeah,
what
yeah,
you're getting at.
yeah.
I
Okay,
get
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
Morpheus.
getting at with that.
That's a
So
good point. Yeah,
Morpheus. Okay. Well, one thing is I did send the link for Nepal because she's a Bible researcher.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No,
I
no
sent
okay.
doubt,
her
no doubt,
that
no doubt.
for
Uh,
pushback. But I want to remind the audience first. This is about the cold case of Jesus Christ.
not
Uh
Paul. Right,
huh. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Before
It
we get
behooves
into
y'all to
other
stay away from
characters,
Paul.
and then Ashay did not speak. So
Yeah,
Ashay,
peace,
we
I
are
say.
on this piece. We are on this cold case for the wrongful death or murder of Jesus Christ.
Okay,
And
before you
yeah,
go on, Yara, real quick, that was a
Yes,
good
sir.
point. That was a good
Hmm.
point. I'm going to get back to that though, but that was a good point.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Uh-huh.
Ashay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Brother
No,
Ashay.
no. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, brothers, man. When it comes down to this New Testament and all of this, I'm pretty much out of my league when it comes to this one. I'm gonna be real with you.
but you
I'm
have
more,
analysis.
I'm more of an OT guy. I'm more of an OT guy. So when it comes down to like, and I analyze the OT, I know when it comes down to this New Testament, it's a lot going on with it. Um, it is to a point like I
Yeah,
chose to shy away from
yeah.
it.
I agree with that statement, though.
Brother,
Believe it or not, I agree with that statement.
I respect that statement so much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you could have spent the time watching some documentaries real quick.
Yeah,
You could have got on the line real quick and asked Google a few questions and and tried to come up here and be egoful.
yeah. I
But
agree.
you
Yeah,
simply was just like, you know what? So I definitely respect you a whole lot for coming up and just making that statement,
yeah.
Yeah,
being
Absolutely,
intellectually honest, where a lot of people
absolutely,
don't do that.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I second that.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So here we go. All right. That was good. Right. That was a good round. I like that. I like that. Uh, so that we don't get caught up in Paul. That's another
True.
show we'll do another day. You know what I mean?
Agree.
About Paul. But
Agree.
let's zero in on the reason why I vote to eliminate him is because he's not a witness. He didn't know him. So if I'm in a court, right, and the judge says, "Hey, call your first witness. Call your first witness," right? Okay.
Mhm.
So then we call our first witness is going to be the earliest gospel writer, which would be Mark, right? So the judge says, call your first witness to the stand. Okay. I call Mark. Got you. All right. Hello, Mark. Put your right hand up. Right. We're going to read Mark's affidavit about what he witnessed, so forth, right? First of all, Mark, did you know Jesus? his answer will be no. We agreed that his answer would be no. Then the next is going to be, well, when did you write this? And the date of Mark, most scholars in the consensus is written around the year 70, between 60 and 70. Would you agree with that date? Anybody got a problem with that date?
Yeah, I got a problem. I got a problem with that date.
Okay.
I
All right,
got a big problem with that date.
Okay, could you please tell me why? Just tell us why.
Could we produce a manuscript from 60 or 70? Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Right.
There is
So
no manuscript that dates back to the first century. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely need the name of that manuscript, because as far as I've researched, there are no first century documents. There are no first century documents.
okay, so let's do this. So let's go. So let's go with the consensus, right, of modern day scholarship, right, and the modern day. But that's a good point, though. You got right. We'll get to that. But so far, so we can move this along. Let's go with the modern day consensus in scholarship of the dating of Mark. Elder Yara, what would you give that date?
I would give that date around 70 CE or so,
I
actually
agree.
written.
Yeah.
Here's my pushback, if I may. I want to say pushback. That's the
Oh,
wrong thing.
I haven't finished yet. Let me
No,
finish
not even to you. I was just
Oh.
responding to the good brother that just spoke. I don't want to
Oh.
use that terminology. So y'all correct me if I start going that way, right?
Hey.
Get me out of that habit. Y'all just get me out of that habit, because we're not debating. We're not debating. We're having a good
Right,
discussion.
exactly.
So don't let me fall into that trap. Y'all check me right
Right.
away.
So okay.
So I am aware, right? When people say that there are no first century manuscripts that exist today, there are no verified first century manuscripts that exist today. I agree with that statement, right? While the texts themselves were written in the first century, no surviving copies from the first, no surviving texts,
Original
original
text.
texts
Original
survive,
text. That's correct.
right? But based on the way that the manuscripts we're writing, the excellence that we're writing, certain details, we can really kind of sort of get to that point, right, where these were probably things that were actually written in the first century. And I'm saying probably because we don't have the actual
Probably.
copy. So
Right,
I'm
right, right.
saying
Right.
That's
probably,
honest,
right?
Yara.
Okay,
That's
so let's
honest.
do this. All right, so let me continue. So let's say the accepted date is around 70, right? Okay.
Yeah. And
So
Correct.
if the person Jesus we're talking about died around the year 30, 33,
mhm.
right? Then what we're saying is that Mark is writing almost 40 years later, correct?
No,
Right?
I disagree.
Or who said they disagree?
Hard one.
Harlan.
Uh, okay, I'm gonna give you a minute to come on. Okay, bro. I give you one second. So the accepted date that we're looking in modern scholarship is around 70 AD of the Gospel of Mark. It also in scholarship, modern day scholarship, they say Jesus died around 30, 33, sometime around. So that would make the book of Mark or the Gospel of Mark 40 years later. That's what I'm saying, right? So now we're looking at about 30, 40 years later, and we're talking about a person, Mark, Your Honor, who never knew him. Your Honor, right here. Yeah, the first person that you called to the witness stand was Mark. And he says, Mark, did you witness the murder? Mark says, no, I didn't even know him, right? Mark says, I didn't even know him. Then it says, hey, Mark, well, where are you getting your information from about the murder? What does Mark say? Mark says, I got what I learned from Peter, or a Q source, as they say. Tell me what happens to Mark's testimony in court.
It depends on the circumstance.
No, based on what I just presented. I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
Mark comes to the stand. The
Uh-huh.
judge asks him, right?
Uh-huh.
Did you know the person that got murdered?
Uh-huh.
Mark says no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Because he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that means that now Mark is now talking on his affidavit from what God Energy said. Hearsay.
Say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard you. Yeah, I heard you clearly.
Wait. So we have our first female guest.
Why can't she just be a scholar?
Peace, everybody. No,
Peace,
I
everybody.
I'm
appreciate
just
it.
recognizing her because it's all men.
I'm just
Right.
joking, man. I'm just
Yeah.
joking.
What
No.
else am I
But it's
supposed to
fine.
say?
And
No,
let me-
thank
I'm just
you.
joking
Thank you
with you,
guys.
man. I was just
Thank
joking
you. I
with you,
want to
man. I was
say
just
something.
joking.
I
we
really
got some.
enjoy this. I'm listening, and Morpheus always like when you come in and
Yeah.
do these things.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
So no, it's cool. I'm just listening though.
Okay.
We need. Let me say this. We need your energy. We need some female balanced energy in here.
That's right. I
Yeah,
hear
no
you.
doubt. No
Okay, I'm
doubt.
muting out. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm sorry.
Lord.
So far, what I got right is we're looking at the case. So in the case of the murder, that we don't have the body, and we're looking at the witnesses. So the first witness that we call to the stand is Mark, because he's the earliest writing. So I'm saying, so now that we have him at the stand, we're asking Mark about what he knows about, you know what I mean? What
Yes.
he knows about the murder
Yes.
or that took place. And Mark
Yes.
tells us that he wasn't there. He wasn't there when the murder took place. In fact, he's like 40 years later when he's writing this stuff. So I'm asking, how reliable at this point, this is where you're going to come in, Yara, how reliable is his testimony, or do we take his testimony? You know what I mean? How
Yeah,
reliable? Yeah.
absolutely. In this case, this is what I like to tell people: it's extremely reliable. Now, remember, we're talking in the consent. We're talking in the line of cold cases, right? So we're talking in legality. Now, y'all watch this, right? Y'all follow me here. I'm going to give you two cases. I'm going to give you the State versus Peterson, right? And I'm going to give you a modern day case where in the last month or so, a judge in the Charlie Kirk murder assassination allowed hearsay testimony in a murder trial. You know why? Because in cases of hearsay is admissible when we have others who are witnesses to what someone else has told them, right? That can be substantiated. Now, there was in the case of I don't know if you guys remember, it was a famous case about a guy named Peters, a husband named Peterson. He took his wife out on a boat. She was
Scott
pregnant
Peterson.
with Scott
Yeah.
Peterson. Thank you very much, sis. And he killed her, right? Killed her and the baby. He was charged with a double murder, right? The baby was unborn, right? He was charged with a double murder. But they allowed even in that case, as well as another case called Drew. There was another case with a gentleman in Illinois out of Bolingbrook, also a Peterson, called Drew Peterson, right? He dissolves his wife's body in a vat of acid. No body, no DNA, right? Do you know how he was convicted of the murder, of the crime? He was a police officer, but they convicted him of the murder based on hearsay. What was the hearsay? Because before the wife was murdered, she told her friends, if I'm dead or if I don't come to work, look at my husband, because he threatened to kill me many, many times. That's hearsay testimony, but it was allowed. And based on that was part of the conviction. Nobody, no DNA evidence, no witnesses.
Right.
So
The
which
only
So based on the circumstances and the scenario you just gave, you got a 50-50
Right,
chance
but
that the
There's a
judge might
different
allow that in.
context. There's a different context though, because the victim in question is the one who made the statement. And in those types of cases, the spouse is always the primary suspect anyway, regardless of who said what or anything, right? So they were always going to look at the husband. They are actually required to look at the spouse. And like we said, the victim in question is the one who made the statement.
Hmm.
Peter is who informed Mark, right? Not Jesus informing Mark. So there is a difference in the pedigree there, right? And that's the exact difference in pedigree that we're trying to highlight. Also, I want to bring up, which one of Mark's affidavits are we going by? Right? Because when you look at the manuscript evidence, when you look at the archaeological evidence, Mark has multiple affidavits that contain different pieces of information. So then what do you do with that when you call this witness to the stand being Mark, and Mark has multiple affidavits that are not 100% identical?
So here's the problem, right? With you guys' entire scenario, right? If you take the according to the biblical narrative, we know Christ, right? There's a scene in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? We know that there are several witnesses, and as a matter of fact, Jesus at the Last Supper, right, spoke to his disciples, including Mark, who was in that room, including Peter, who was in that room, and many other disciples, and said, "Listen, I'm going to die, and this is how I'm going to die." And the Bible tells us that he was specifically talking about those who would betray him, right? Judas. We're all familiar with Judas Iscariot, right? The Bible says they knew that he was speaking of Judas. So Jesus did inform his disciples before his actual death that he would be killed. There were many times it says, hold on, that he had to steal away in silence. Some of y'all say, oh, Jesus ran, but he had to steal away because it wasn't the time for him to be killed yet.
Yeah,
So
but
he had to steal away.
the
So
pro-
he always hold on. He always prophesied and always foretold of his death. So
the
there
problem,
we have it in the narrative.
right?
He
But here,
actually says it. They're gonna kill me.
yeah,
From what I'm
but here,
saying.
but here's the problem with that argument. The problem with the argument is the story the narrative, excuse me, that you're telling is what's being questioned. See, what you just said is unfortunately would only be true if you believe the story. But the stories is the thing that we're putting on the table just to see if the stories are reliable, right? So if you believe the story, then yes, absolutely. But
But you
these are
have
the
nothing to say that the story is not reliable.
I
You don't. You
am.
don't.
No, I am. This is what I'm putting on the table because me myself, I'm impeaching Mark for one. Mark gets impeached,
How?
right? Because hey, he didn't know Jesus. He wasn't at the
Wait, wait,
crucifixion.
wait,
Let,
wait, wait,
let me
wait, wait, wait. You're wrong with
let me
that.
let me
Morpheus, can
finish.
I please question Mark?
All right, go ahead,
Yeah,
brother.
you're
Go
wrong.
ahead.
You're wrong about that.
All
That's
right, we're
not
gonna
correct.
okay, we're gonna see. Go ahead, Harlan. Go ahead.
My question to Mark is: are you even an actual Mark that allegedly wrote this Book of Mark? Because the oldest manuscripts that they call the Book of Mark are anonymous. They added the
Right.
word Mark at
I
the top.
haven't even gotten there yet, Harvey, but you're exactly
Mhm.
right.
So,
Right? You are
so,
absolutely right.
so,
Right.
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Y'all
why I
come on,
said
bring it.
I'm going to impeach Mark, right? Because if Mark is the first guy we're talking about, the very first gospel, Mark. So let's analyze Mark. Let's analyze
Hmm.
Mark. Everybody, let's analyze Mark's affidavit, right? So we have the Gospel of Mark. One, we don't even know if Mark wrote this. We don't
Yep.
know if Mark wrote this because it's anonymous. The Mark name got attributed to it by the early church fathers later on, but the
Yes,
actual
indeed.
document. I'm sorry. What you say?
No, I should say yes, indeed.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Let's analyze Mark before we move on. Let's analyze and see is the gospel or the affidavit that we're looking at, is it reliable or not? Right. This is what he presents.
Now Morpheus,
Y'all gonna
with that, right? If the earliest manuscript, meaning you have to look at the manuscript, discover the manuscript to see that it's anonymous. So
Right.
at that point, we can't even say that an actual Mark wrote it. Then you see how ridiculous it is to then definitively say this questionable actual maybe Mark definitely wrote in 70 when the second century text, the first one in existence that we have, doesn't even have the autograph on it. Then you're gonna
That was
presuppose this person wrote in 70. So
yes,
now you're starting to see how not how implausible this 70 AD date is. But I
absolutely.
digress.
If
well
I can
we
just add really quickly,
yeah, let her
if
get
we're
in
going
there.
to harp on anonymity of the author, that would be, unfair because there's a lot more that we can look into. It may not be
I
100%
agree.
authentic, but there's points in the writing that, again, we
Absolutely.
go back to consensus that everybody agrees, okay, this is checking out. So I just want to throw that out there, not to go too far into this whole anonymous and is it really Mark? That's all I want to say.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna do something
Mark is on
novel.
the stand
Wait,
right
we're
now.
gonna do something novel that we don't do because these are all experts in different fields. So we have forensic evidence, we have archaeological, we have testimony evidence, we have everything. So, Mr. Morpheus, you're gonna
Yes.
have to call. This is your expert witness. You pull together expert witnesses that can help the prosecution and the defense. So we are expert witnesses, right? We are employed by one of we're trying to be employed by one of the parties, the defense or the prosecution on the cold case, right? The prosecution wants to certainly prove that Jesus Christ was there was a wrongful death or there was a murder, and the defense wants to throw it all out of the court. Now we are expert witnesses. You're going to have to on matters like this. You're going to have to call it to a vote so we can move on. Otherwise, we'd be stuck on in the quagmire, right? So we have A's and A's. You take it over so that we can move the point, right? Or not completely get rid of it, but call it at another point. All right. So do you understand the instructions?
Yeah. Does everybody else understand?
Right. Mhm.
Okay.
yes, yes, sure.
So
Um.
do we have? So basically, I'm asking you on this particular topic of who are we talking about? We're talking about Mark. Do we want to continue with Mark, or do we want to come back to Mark?
Yeah,
I
I
think
just
I,
want
I
to. I
mean,
want to make a
we
point.
could just take a vote on
I want to
saying
make
did
a
he
point.
do, was he there, or was he not, right?
Well, I want to make a point with Mark because Sister Napar brought up an extremely important point that I think only biblical scholars would understand and really get. Right. So here's the problem that I have with when it comes to consensus of scholarship, when it comes to non theological or non biblical people who actually study these texts, right? Because what you have to do, right? You have to have, if you want to impeach someone, right? You really must have some element of evidence why you want to impeach them, not just your conjecture, right? Because what you're giving us is based on uh some people that say the book is anonymous, and so therefore it must be impeached, right? That's not the full consensus, right? Because my understanding, right, as a scholar, we can go through that. The Bible does tell us who Mark is, right? But I don't think many of you know. If I just asked you right now to just tell me, do you know that?
Okay.
Right? The Bible does tell us who Mark is. Are any of you aware of that?
can you present that, please?
Yeah,
Okay, so let's just do this. Wait 1 second. So
yeah.
let's just do this. We are going to call a vote, right? And then after the vote, we're going to give the parties who lose 2 minutes, 3 minutes to represent their case.
No, we're not doing that because, and I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
you
this
why
is
we're not
good.
doing that. No, no, I'm
This
gonna
is
tell you,
good.
no, it's not good. See,
I'm
listen,
sorry.
I
Yeah.
listen, I picked juries before, right? And this is and he wants a verdict on which you would only get to based on a trial by jury or a trial by your peers. That's none of that's happening here, right? So we're not gonna do it that way, right? There's another way we can do it. Y'all figure that out. But that's not the way we're gonna do it here, right? So because again, that only comes down to each and every one of you guys' belief. And if we're leaving belief at the door, then this is what we cannot be doing, right? Because if we're looking at the circumstances of evidence, when you say that the book of Mark is anonymous and the text actually gives us the name of Mark, who we know was associated
Mm.
at the time with Christ as a contemporary, then that's what we should go off. You can't dismiss the book itself
Call
Okay.
to
So
order. Call to
But
order.
call order. So
Wait,
call
call
the
to
order.
order. What I
because that's
want,
the testimony that's on
call,
record.
call to order.
Uh-huh.
Again, a call to order. Now it's at the point we remember we are not the prosecution. We are not the defense. We are the expert witnesses, right? And
Hmm.
what we're dealing with is Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
So I'm not either way. I'm just listening. I want just so that we can move this on. I want since we have experts on this panel, right?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
want 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Why with evidence that we should uh that but remember
Except
really Morpheus, you're in charge. I'm just
no, you're right. You're right. Right. I'm saying so. We want to look at that, right? What you said, because we want to see at this point, do you accept Mark, right? Testimony or as a witness? It's clear that you Yara do. That's fine. That's cool. Um, um, I don't for a number of reasons, right? And I'm naming my reasons why I don't accept Mark's testimony or affidavit. Uh, who hasn't spoken? Who
me.
hasn't
Which
I think
spoken?
I saw her in Ka.
Yeah, Asad Khan. Yeah, you got the floor, bro.
Oh, would you mind letting
Uh,
Marcus on?
I
Uh,
sent him the link.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Marcus.
Yep. You know what?
So
I'm
He's
my bad,
Kasad.
Kassad. Yeah, my bad, Kassad. I apologize. I just look.
so
peace
so
to you, brother.
let me tell. Yeah. So the number one, Mark's book is anonymous, right? He never writes the name within. He doesn't even have his name within the story. Okay. The only place it appears is out the outside label. So he's not. He doesn't. Anyone who would bring conjecture that he writes his name in the text or that it's in the text would be wrong. It's only on the outside label when you talk about the Gospel of Mark. So how then do you profess that he's in the text, brother Yara? I
Before
have
you
the
answer
same
that,
problem.
Yara,
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
want to just ask you before you answer that, because
Hmm.
I thought about what you said. I thought you were talking about the Gospels.
Hmm.
Are
Yeah.
we, if we're going to take Paul's account, right,
Hmm.
and Peter, then how can we discount Mark? Because he is in Acts, correct?
That's
Because
correct.
Peter didn't
I'm
write
gonna
Peter
get
either.
him. I'm gonna get mad at Paul too, right, sis?
Okay,
Because
I cut Yara off, but a coconut fell in my head. Go ahead, Yara.
But see,
let me
but that's that's
we'll let him answer right after. I'm gonna get mad at Paul too because number one, we only have three of the Paul letters that are authentic. Now we've got three, and we've got Paul who never met Jesus, used to go against Jesus, and his gospel appears to be different than what Jesus used to preach. So I have a problem with Paul too.
okay. That's great.
Right.
You can have as many problems as you like, right? That's what this panel is for. So first of all, you're incorrect. We have 7 authentic letters by Paul that are in the Gospels, not 3. Right? That's the consensus of scholarship. 7. Right?
How many?
So
How many of
first,
them
right?
are together? How many of them are together, brother Yara?
About I think there are about 12 or 13 that are attributed to Paul, but about
So
7 authentic that we know was written. That's the
He says
consensus of
7, I
scholars.
say 3.
Galatians, Philippians.
It doesn't matter what you say. You're wrong.
so are we saying? Hold on, let me hold on. Let me be clear.
Yes,
Let me say this. So,
you do
so
that a
are we
lot. I'm
saying?
sorry.
So are we saying that the Bible contains 13 letters, right? But only 7 of those letters are authenticated. Are we saying that?
No, we're not saying that at all. We're saying
Well,
that there are I believe there are 13 that are attributed. I could be wrong on that number. It could be 12 or 13.
right.
Could be
Yeah, so
14. No, no,
right,
listen. Letters that are attributed to Paul,
right.
that we can't confirm all of the letters were attributed by Paul's hand, written by Paul's hand, but at least scholars agree that at least 7, not
Bingo.
3, 7 of those letters were authentically written by Paul.
So then
Right?
that means, right? I agree. I agree. But so
Yes.
that means that 6 of them, right, are not, but yet they're still in the Bible.
Well, listen.
I'm
Here's the
correct.
problem.
I'm going to give
Here's
you a
hold,
pass, Yara.
hold on. No, you're not. Hold on. Here's the pass. Right. Here it is. Right.
I'll give him a pass
Because
with that.
there is scholarship that says that there were others who were named after him. These were later writers that would have been attributed to him, right? They would have been attributed from his teachings. Paul had many students, right? So they would have been writing at least later in his name, right? But the 7 authentic letters we do know is not an argument. So you can get rid of the full 13. I can stick with the 7 and it still proves Paul.
Okay, that's not my argument.
It don't matter what your argument is at that point.
Listen,
If you're
listen.
trying to dismiss Paul, you
No,
can't.
listen. What I'm saying is, based on what you said, there's 13 letters altogether, 13 or 14, right? So we have 13 and 14, and 7 of them are authenticated. By default, that means there's 6 that he didn't write, right? That is the consensus, right? Because either we're going to accept scholarship
It's
or
not consensus that he
Right.
didn't write. It's consensus that they cannot prove whether he wrote them or not. That's
okay.
what the scholarship says.
Well, I'm looking at it. I'm reading it right now. I share my screen. That's not what they said. They said that they clearly said that pseudepigraphy, bro. That's
What is pseudepigraphy?
Look, I'm gonna show the screen.
I just
So
asked.
we all see.
I just asked you. That's what I said that to you though. I don't understand your point with this because that's what I said to you. They don't know if he wrote them or not.
Okay.
So of course they can be considered pseudepigrapher. I don't understand that argument.
So the argument
How does that dismiss the authentic letters?
I'm not addressing the authentic ones.
So why are you addressing the pseudepigrapher letters?
Because there's 13 of them all. So all of them.
No, you're wrong. There's not
me-
13 pseudepigrapher letters. You're
No,
wrong.
that's not what I said. You got to listen for a second. That's not what I said.
You keep
What
saying 13.
I'm saying in the Bible,
Okay.
there's 13 altogether. That's still in the Bible, right?
13 what?
Letters.
Of what?
Letters.
Of what?
Of Paul. That Paul.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect.
Okay. Can I share my?
You're reading it.
I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. Watch this.
You're reading it, man.
Watch it. I'm gonna pull it up. Watch this.
Graham, I'm gonna get back to this Mark thing because I'm not letting y'all off the hook.
Okay. Watch it. Here we
Y'all
go.
right, who?
I got something to say about Paul too before we move on. I've been raising my hand.
Okay. Here we
Y'all
go.
right.
So,
Yeah, somebody call me.
No, Morpheus was ready. I ain't want to cut him off. Go ahead, Morpheus.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. So, because I'm saying either we're going to accept what scholarship says or we're not going to accept it.
That's the
right?
question.
Right. So here we go. I asked the question. Did anybody see my screen?
No.
No.
You gotta share. You gotta click share. There you go.
Okay, you see my screen now. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So, according to modern biblical and historical scholarship, no, not all of the letters attributed to Paul in the New Testament were written by him. That's what I said.
We
Right?
said that. I don't
Right.
understand why. That's not what my
Because
point
watch it.
is.
So
Why do you keep saying it?
let me finish. What I'm saying is the ones that are not written by him are still part of the Bible. That's the point that
Okay,
I'm
so
making.
what? So what? I'm
So
saying,
does
what's your point about this? So what?
okay, my point is, does anybody else, right, on the platform
So what?
find that as being an issue? That you have
Yes.
writings in the Bible that are saying that Paul wrote this, but he didn't write this. Does anybody have an issue with that?
Yeah, that's the issue.
No, I
It's
don't.
absolute.
So I
No, because
definitely,
hold on,
I definitely have a big issue. He
Absolute.
has to panel.
hold
He has
on.
to panel a question. He has to
Those,
panel a question, and
Hold on, one at a time.
we do have an issue with that. We even have an issue with, and I'm speaking for myself, with those 7 that are even considered to be Pauline, because someone put together 7 letters, but it is still not confirmed that these 7 letters authentically came from an authentic individual named Paul. These 7 letters could have come from a school, because someone put these 7 letters together. And then the early Christians were dealing with Paul very little, right? And I quote, it says the authenticity of Paul's letters then come into question. Like, where did we get these letters? They still don't know where the letters came from, even the 7 that you would consider authentic. Who preserved them? Did Paul himself keep copies, right, of his own letters? And did individual assemblies of churches keep copies of these letters? If so, why? Who has control of them from 65 to 100? And why? And are they viewed as important? So there's so many questions that have to be answered, even to accept the authenticity of the 7 so-called Pauline letters, and then get to the pseudepigrapha letters that are included in the Bible, even though the scholars that believe in 7 authentic Pauline letters say these are pseudepigrapha, they're still incorporated into the Bible, which gives credit to the fact that none of these letters are actually authentic to an individual named Paul. There are big issues here.
wow,
And
Yeah.
that quote
you
was
just
from
really
David
jumped out
M.
of a
Whitwell.
window, bro, to
That
say
quote
that
was
You
from
they're
did.
David M.
all.
Whitwell.
Can I get
I
in?
mean, that was just like, come on. If we're talking about scholarly consensus, you're on the outside, my brother.
Yeah,
God energy.
that's pseudepigrapha.
Okay,
That's
so
pseudo.
Can
That's
I
French
please? Can I
scholarship
get in here
to
somewhere?
say.
But
You said,
Yara
yeah, go ahead.
earlier said he has a problem with consensus scholarship anyway.
I
Yara
never said,
himself
I
spoke
didn't say I
against
had a problem with
consensus.
consensus scholarship. I said I have a problem with a full consensus.
okay.
There's a
I heard
difference.
you. I heard you.
Yeah,
The,
full consensus. That's the difference.
the,
So, who?
I'm sorry.
I think Kasab was speaking. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
1 second. So there's GNC Capone. You're gonna have to turn on your camera. So you can turn
No,
it off now.
he's a good brother. Hmm.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh no, the space is limited right now until somebody kicks off. So GNC, GD Capone.
GD and Capone.
Yeah, Capone. So when someone pops back in, I'll keep trying to, right? But the space is okay. So somebody popped out. So he's in
Yep,
the
Think
back.
Suntan.
something
There
up
he
though.
is.
Who popped out? Nepal?
Oh,
Something.
no, no, no.
No,
I
no, no,
didn't. I'm
no.
here. I just
Okay.
was putting Morpheus at the top.
Yeah,
Oh,
He
okay.
came back
you
to
better
the
not go
bottom.
nowhere.
Oh, something in the
Okay.
There.
bottom.
So wait. We are going to do this all night. So that's why I said
Yeah,
that
that's true.
at
That's
some
true.
point we have to take a vote so we can continue on, right? Uh, and otherwise we're going to be
I
arguing
agree.
That's
and
true.
Paul
That's
all
true. That's
night.
true. That's true.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's
Yara,
true.
say your
And we
piece
got
on
to
it and let us
solve this cold
attack.
case, right? We got to see.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
My point. I just want to make the point about Mark. Right. When they talk about they don't know who Mark is, right, or it was attributed to Mark. I tell people like a lot of times you have to study. So I have to. I want to. Let me share my. Let me. I want to share my screen for a second. Right. I'm gonna do what this young man Morpheus did. Right.
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
to
yeah.
share my
What? Can I
screen.
say this real quick? What I'm afraid of unfortunately, right, what I'm trying not to do is
Hmm.
get into arguments that are circular. You feel me? That are circular, meaning like well, I'm sure y'all know what I mean when I say circular, right? You know what I mean? Like, other words, I can't use the thing that I'm questioning to authenticate the very thing that I'm questioning.
Well, then you should never appear in court because that's what they use
What circular arguments?
all day long. And
I
Dr. Reggie's familiar with the court system. He knows that happens. That's regular.
uh,
That's what
I'm not.
happens. So
I've been in court plenty of times. Unfortunately, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying
no,
I've
I'm
been.
just saying. I'm just saying when you talk about a circular argument, it's a presenting. It's a present. Sometimes you're asked to rephrase the question. It's the same. You're trying to get to the same point.
But what I'm saying, if I'm questioning Mark,
Yeah,
right?
you can question Mark.
If I'm trying to authenticate Mark, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to use Mark to authenticate Mark. That would be circular.
Well, that's not true. That's not how that works, unfortunately. But let's move past it. Let me show you about and I'm not going to use
I
Mark.
got one thing to say about Mark before we move on.
I'm not. Go right ahead. Y'all can speak
I would
about
like
Mark.
to also talk and add something while we speaking on Mark.
Yeah, can I go
Y'all,
after Kassad?
yeah, y'all go ahead, and then I'll make my point after you guys because I've been talking.
No problem. I want to bring up when we talk about if we're going to use this analogy or metaphor with the legal thing, these affidavits, right? Because again,
Hmm.
there isn't one consistent affidavit of Mark, right? And this goes back to the manuscript evidence, the archaeology, right? The earliest manuscript of Mark that you can physically touch that has been discovered does not date to the first century. The earliest tangible physical copy of Mark that you can touch does not have an autograph on it. The earliest physical tangible copy of Mark that you can touch does not contain certain details that later versions of Mark, later affidavits of Mark contain. So there's discrepancies even within the affidavit. What happens when you call a witness and they got multiple affidavits that are different? How credible is that?
It's
Right?
very
So
credible.
we definitely
I
have to deal with these things, right? The controversy about the women finding Jesus in the tomb after his crucifixion, that's different in the earliest versions of Mark. Then you have extensions, longer versions that don't appear in the earliest manuscript of Mark that then later appear. So you have additions. Mark's affidavit later on has additions.
hmm
This is crazy, you know?
Yeah, that's fine. But guess what? None of those variants that you talk about of Mark, none of them deny Jesus existed or that he was crucified. None of them.
So
Yeah.
so watch
And I
this right here.
If his affidavit
Nah,
is
because
being
I
used
thought
to
we just
None
validate
of
told you
it,
his
we're gonna keep
affidavit,
doing all
all of
this.
his affidavits agree
can
on
I
both
can
points.
I can I go next, please?
And isn't an anonymous witness still a valid witness?
It absolutely is.
I don't
So
know, but good. All
yeah,
right, good.
so we got to look at a couple things, right? One, what he pointed out right there is that Mark Mark is not the author on any of this, right? Two, when did Jesus live? Because if we say he lived in the first century, right? You say he lived from the first century to be 30 years old, or we can even go back a little bit. The earliest writing of Mark is 70 CE. That's a problem.
supposedly,
Then
allegedly.
No,
no,
that's
that's
not
the
that's not
earliest
correct.
writings
That's the
that you have
earliest
of Mark is 70
that's the
CE.
earliest surviving
Brother,
text.
brother,
All
relax,
right.
relax.
There's a
And
difference.
then relax. And then last, the
Get that.
ending is different because remember, and I believe it's in the Codex Alexandria. It ends
Okay.
at verse 16:8. And eventually y'all got 9 through 20 added on by later scribes, which means we know Mark didn't write those. So how do you, when we can see other scribes adding to the text clearly, do you try to justify the fact that Mark is the writer?
So
because
real
what we have.
please?
Hold
Hold
on,
on,
if he's
guys.
posing questions, hold on. Go ahead.
Please. I just want to say something real quick. I just checked. Nepal is correct. To be fair, it says yes, an anonymous witness is still
Yeah.
a witness,
Yes.
but their role and the weight of their evidence change depending on the rules of the court. So I just want
Absolutely.
to add that I want to be fair. I want to be
Yeah.
fair,
Okay,
right? So Nepal, you are correct about that, right?
Absolutely.
thank you, Morpheus.
Okay.
It's a
Absolutely.
Crime
Uh,
Stoppers witness right there. That's Crime Stoppers. You call
No, it's not.
anonymous.
No,
Like,
no.
yeah.
I think it was Kassad next speaking, I believe.
Yeah, Kassad, you go ahead.
Yeah, just really quick to before I speak on the Mark thing, really quick to echo what they was kind of saying when it comes to Paul. How you want us to acknowledge the scholarship behind Paul's letters? Okay, and when we acknowledge that they say 7 are authentic versus the whole 13. Then you want to go and argue the actual scholarship and be like, oh well, we don't know if Paul wrote them at all. Like it's either you want to go with scholarship or you don't.
That's
The
not my
scholarship.
argument. That's
I
not
want
my
no
argument.
that one towards you, brother. That was toward
Oh.
guy energy. Yeah. So now directing it toward all the brothers that keep on speaking on this Mark thing. The first thing is, has any of y'all produced a copy? Because I haven't seen the whole show. Has any one of y'all produced a copy in which Mark name is not written on any of the copies?
No.
Now they are.
No.
We were trying to find where he was in the
It's
text.
an ancient copy
Mark
of any
don't
of the
appear in this
gospels.
document.
Have y'all found a copy and where it's not attributed to those authors, since it's supposed to have been anonymous?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a
Name-
papyrus in particular where he's
Name
not marked
I
on
would
at
love for
all.
you to present the document, the papyrus.
Sound like
Okay, here
we
we
might
go.
have to have a second debate. Well, actually, I'll let God energy do it, and
Now we're talking about we
I'm gonna
gotta have a
slide him
second
a
debate.
note
Now
under
we
the
talking about we
desk.
gotta have a
Hold
second
on.
I'm gonna
debate.
slide God
we
energy a
having a
note under the desk.
We sitting here talking about evidence and stuff right now. Now we gotta have a second debate. Now
Okay,
you gotta
watch it.
go.
And listen. Chad, don't come with that energy. That's not what we're doing
I'm
here.
just messing.
Please.
I'm joking with
Please.
the brother Asara.
No, we
Chill.
just
Yeah.
having fun.
But I'm saying, watch it. Okay, here we go. Let's look at this.
Can I go next?
Hold up, because you brought a good point, right? Okay, here we go. Let's look at this, y'all. Right? Let's look at this. Okay, here we go. I'm sharing my screen. Right?
You have to hit share, brother.
Yeah, I know. Here you go. So let's see what we find, and then we'll go from there. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Now we can.
Okay. This is the AI overview. Okay. Then we could argue about it later, whatever. But let's look and see what's out there. It says the names of the authors were attributed to the Gospels during the 2nd century CE, roughly several decades after the texts were originally written anonymously between 70 and 100 CE. So, according to what we're seeing right now, right, that the to answer Chasad's question, that the names that we have today that we see, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, the names that are attributed to them were attributed in the 2nd century.
Which century?
Now
What we're
The
reading right
second
now.
century. The
Right,
second century is becoming
Yeah,
more and more important.
100 AD. 100 AD.
Now, I
Possibly 50, 40 years after.
Please let me finish. Please let me
So
finish.
you want to finish? Okay.
Yes, let me finish. Right. Okay. So what we're seeing here, early tradition and citations. Papias of Hierapolis, writing around 125, 100 CE. Papias is one of the earliest figures to mention writings by Mark, Matthew, describing Mark as Peter's interpreter and noting Matthew collected the sayings of Jesus. So we're looking around 125 to 130, right?
Papias is in what century AD?
Can you see the screen?
Papias is in the 2nd century AD, right?
Yeah.
He's
Right.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm just keeping track of how many times the 2nd century comes up. I'm gonna go
Right. So if we're saying that this Mark was written in the year 70, right?
Mhm.
If that around 65, 70, whatever, let's say that's the dating of that particular manuscript, right? So they're saying the names that's attributed to it didn't come until the 2nd century. So that means
Well,
all.
Hold on,
that's that,
Right.
bro.
That's not a problem though.
Y'all.
hold on. Now, can I would love to
Go
actually
ahead.
respond
Go
to
ahead.
this
Go ahead.
because for one, he didn't answer my question.
I'm
I
asking.
asked.
I'm
Hold
asking.
on,
With
hold
what?
on.
Hold on. Wait, bro. You
All
never
Hold
right.
on.
answered.
He's asking. Answer his question, Kasai,
Right.
and then
He
go.
haven't. Right. He haven't answered my question. I'm saying
Yeah.
with what we're reading. I'm saying, do you reject what we're reading? That's my question.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with you saying Papias, however you pronounce his name, mentioned that the Mark was Peter's interpreter. I don't have a problem with none of this. And for one, I love how you say he's a second-century figure. When was Papias born? Who is he? Who is his
So
contemporary?
listen, brother. Listen. So you reject what we're reading. That's what I'm
No,
asking.
That's
answer
not what
my
he
no.
said,
That is
bro.
not what I
Like,
just said. I said
I
I have
reject
no
the
problem.
interpretation.
I said I
Alrighty.
said
Wait.
when was
All
why
right.
is we
So,
doing this?
my
All right,
suggestion,
okay.
was about 45 minutes ago was to put it to a vote, right? Because I think there's some more things. We are dealing with Jesus Christ. We're really not dealing with these other all these other people. They are important. I got it. But what we want to do is we want to move on because we want to get to Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not saying at the end of the day to completely dismiss any of these figures, but we haven't, unless someone's pulling out what Mark said or Paul said about the life of Jesus Christ, right? What we're doing is we're going past that. So I want to get to the life of Jesus Christ,
Okay.
and I want to get to the cold case of what we have. I know we have Mark there.
Right.
I don't know what Mark says particularly about it, right? And I don't know, and then Paul, I don't know
All,
what Paul. Okay, so you go ahead, Morpheus. You
all
this
I'm
is
all I'm trying to get from everybody on the platform. Do you reject what we're reading? That's all I'm trying to get.
we're rejecting what your context in which you're
yeah.
placing what we're reading. That's the
Okay.
problem we're
So
having
let's
here.
try this again. The
Okay.
names Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were attributed to the four canonical gospels during the 2nd century CE, roughly between 100 CE and 185 CE. Do you reject this?
I reject your context.
I will say, no, I
Right.
don't reject it, but if we're doing this in a court-like setting, what's the relevance?
Right.
Because,
Right.
the name, again, takes us back to, that's why I said I want to harp on anonymity and pseudepigrapha.
Right.
We need to look at the core of it. And what I'd like to present and put on the table is, I want to put Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 ahead of Mark's writing when we're looking at the life and the death of Christ,
That's right.
because those are more
But
solid and those are contemporaries.
okay, here's the problem with that, right? Let me check.
It's crazy
Oh
that
God.
Let's go around the table,
No
Mark.
problem.
I was
Mark, go
Let me
around
go
the
around.
table so
my
we can get
turn.
everybody
Hold
in
on.
the car.
Order in the court.
Hold on.
Order in the court. You're right.
I
Hold
really
on,
asked a
stop it.
Listen,
question, and it's supposed
I'm
to
the
be my turn.
host. Please, I'm the
Order.
host. I'm the host. Please, right? I want me and Nepal to just have a 2-minute whatever, real quick, right? The reason why I throw out Paul, because if we're talking about the life of Jesus, of which Paul is not a witness to, this is now me myself. I'm saying I can't use Paul because Paul didn't know him in his life when he was on earth, walking and talking, breathing. Paul didn't know him. Paul's only attestation to him is a vision, a spiritual thing or a vision or whatever you want to call it, but not a physical one. He never knew him.
Right.
So if I'm trying to authenticate, you know what I mean, the life of Jesus, I'm saying, how can I use Paul? It's like me saying, hey, if I want to talk with somebody that knew Nepal, right? we're going to talk about Nepal. And I'm going to listen to somebody who never met Nepal, never talked in Nepal, right? At no time. Why would I use them? You know what I mean? To talk about Nepal's life, where she lived or anything about her life if she never knew you.
Well, let me respond to you, and we are going. That's great. Let me give you a scenario. I don't know the names of these rapper guys that were on trial recently. I know a lot of people do, but a lot of them were their rap music was valid evidence in their murder cases. And in their raps, they said, I did this to this guy, and I'm going to do this. You get what I'm saying? Yep. So with the creed, Paul might not have been there, but the creeds are so valid that it was something that they recited. Jesus was alive. Jesus was crucified by Pontius Pilate. Jesus did this. Jesus did that. And Paul, being a part of that region and those people in that community, wrote that actual information, which makes the evidence valid, just like the example I gave you with these guys in the court. So although he wasn't there, it was a something that was known and said. People who were there, within 1 to 2 years, they started going around saying, did you hear about Christ? Were you there? Oh, yes, I was. He was crucified. He was born. He was crucified. So my point is, with Paul and with the consensus of biblical scholars, not just me, especially Bart Ehrman. I love to use Bart because he's a very strong atheist. Paul, 1 Corinthians and those creeds in Paul validate the arguments around, you get what I'm saying? Validate, Mark, the information that we say when people say, oh, I was there. I'm Peter. I saw Jesus be crucified. So we can't throw Paul completely out. That's what I'm saying. I get what you're saying about him saying, I saw Christ, but with the creed itself, that's the bedrock and that's the foundation and so solid in biblical scholarship. And so that's my position.
Okay, Morpheus.
But that shows Marcus.
Morpheus. Hey, listen, I'm talking to the host. So Morpheus, I'm giving you a solution.
Yes.
I'm giving you a solution. You're not taking a solution. I remember, I'm interested in the cold case only of Jesus Christ. All these are factors, but we have to prioritize. I need to call to a vote. I want you to call to a vote if we should include Paul, because we could do a whole nother show on Paul, or Mark, right? And continue on. So I need A's and nays, right? Just so that we can move on.
I mean, we just have to settle that, because here's the problem, Dr. Reggie. They cannot have a solid argument against the existence of Christ in any cold case without bringing in these other characters.
Well, we can prioritize them.
You can't prioritize them, right? You really can't, because each one, because each fallacious argument they try to suggest follows into the next one.
That's correct. But
Yeah,
I want to ask
we
you
can
this.
do that, but we just want to get through the voting portion.
I want to ask the reason why I want to call a vote, because Paul would have been Paul's the last person to talk to Christ. Paul was. Paul in that conversation, what we're dealing with is the life of Jesus Christ, right? And Paul, you would have to tell me what Paul particularly said about the life of Jesus Christ, not his teachings, not what Paul understood about what Jesus really wanted, but we're dealing with the life, the body, the cold case, the life of this of Jesus Christ, respectfully. Right. So in order to do that,
Paul said Jesus had a brother. Paul
so let's just get the vote. So we're not didactic with it.
Paul
After we get the vote on each person, let's get to the particulars.
So I agree with Kasai, and greetings, everyone. What we do know about Jesus, according to gospels, affidavits from others, being that they are anonymous or not, is that one, he lived in Jerusalem, right? Bethlehem. He had a mother and a father. He appeared in the synagogue amongst the high priests and read from the books of Moses, the Torah. We also know of his that he had 12 apostles. Hello.
See, you're failing to take the vote, and
so my vote is yes.
No. See, stop. No vote, because this is what I'm saying. You guys don't want to look at evidence.
Right.
You want to vote what you believe. You don't believe. Hold on. You don't believe Jesus was a real person. You don't believe he was historical. So any vote that you have is already coming with the confirmation bias. That's why we have jury votes.
It don't matter. We just need the yes or no.
That's
right
not
now.
true. That's why we have. Hold on.
Which is why we up here to deal with.
That's why we have juror voyeurs, so that those who are actually for and against can actually say, "Look, you're biased."
We can get to that later.
Don't take a vote.
We can get to that later.
No, we can't get to that later.
So yeah.
No,
we can because we've got several people to vote on.
Mr. Chair, you have to decide. It's on you, Mr. Chair.
Order.
You have to decide.
Listen.
No, he
can't. So what is admissible?
Hold on. Listen,
right.
Listen. Stop. Everybody, stop for a minute, please. Right? Can we get some order?
This court thing getting ridiculous.
Yeah. I really want to get some order in here, because if we don't get any order in here, it's going to be chaos, right? As it's going, and I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to go that direction and make it get toxic and all that other stuff. Right. Okay, right? Please, let's not do that, right? I'm trying to create this forum so that we can rise above all the, you know what I mean? All the negative. So okay, so at this point, God Energy, I think you mentioned. Oh, we haven't heard from
Rakufu.
No, it's still on me. I ain't finished.
GDN never got a chance to get his time. He was supposed
Y'all
to go
know
after
it was
Prasad.
my turn, and he
was
cut me
supposed to
off.
go after Prasad. Yeah.
Y'all know it was my turn. He tried to run from what we was talking about. Reggie jumped in because the host was getting poked in the argument, and y'all act like it wasn't my turn and I wasn't speaking. That's crazy. I see how it is. That's crazy.
No, you was talking. I wouldn't say hold.
We just voting right now. It's supposed to be yes or no down the line till we get to the next character.
So Guy Energy, this is a question to you. Is there any copy? All right.
Prasad, GDN really did not get a chance to speak. Yeah,
neither did I. Morpheus ran from the one question. You didn't even answer it. And then ran. Reggie jumped in. But it's cool. Go ahead. I see. Go ahead.
So I vote that we keep all of the evidence, because none of it should be omitted. Y'all haven't presented any reason for us to throw any of this stuff out regarding your own suppositions.
Right.
The one thing I would say, one error that I seen was that when y'all was talking about things being written in the 2nd century, well, historical records don't get recorded into after the event happens, be it a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades later. So that's a fallacy. That's a category error right there. And if we're going to omit these evidence, then we have no case. So you have to keep all the evidence and look into the death of Jesus based on the evidence that we have presented from anonymous or other people during contemporary people during that time. Now, I was saying that when we talk about the life of Jesus, the accounts is very detailed about his lifetime. It gives you a full lifespan from his birth to his death. The people that he encountered in even the crime that he was accused of. So I don't think that we should throw out the baby with the bathwater. You see what I'm saying? Just because we don't know certain things. You talk about the names being put on these records later. That shouldn't be a problem if we can analyze what the records are saying. Another thing. So we know that he was persecuted by Pontius Pilate is the one that gave the judgment for his crucifixion.
Okay,
So
stop.
we know that.
Stop. No.
You can't say no.
I'm going to tell you why, right?
You got a bias.
No, everything you're telling me is coming from the very same thing that we're questioning.
But the Bible is not on trial here. Jesus is. You see what I'm saying? But hold on, listen. But you mentioned about it's 13 epistles that's attributed to Paul and 7 is authentic. We're not talking about the Bible here. We can use those 7 those 7 authentic epistles in the accounts.
No,
y'all keep saying no. Do you know how many times in a
I'm
murder
still
trial,
waiting on the copy that's not attributed to these authors. I'm still waiting on that copy.
Like in murder cases and murder trials, diaries are admitted as evidence. Like I don't understand why y'all keep taking this. Why y'all taking this position, other than the fact that you have a confirmation bias.
Well, no, I don't I don't got a confirmation bias, right?
That's clear.
So let me ask you, what does it hurt if we keep all the evidence, if we keep everything that we have in?
Before we cut him off, Morpheus is trying to get his point across, and I feel like it's already been an unwritten agreement or consensus between us that because he's the host, because this is his show, he gets a little bit of deference, right? Meaning when he wants to put a pause on something, I think Morpheus is the main person, the only person who has been getting that deference.
Right. Thank you. Now, this is what I'm saying, right? If we're looking at what we know about the guy's life, right? What do we look at, right? I'm saying I don't look at Paul. I don't because Paul, he didn't know him in his life, right? He didn't know him in his life. So I'm not going to use Paul. I'm looking for people who knew him in his life.
So what do you look at?
Watch this. This is where we're getting to.
That is a horrible argument, brother. Horrible.
What was your point, Morpheus? Because you were getting to your point, Morpheus. So what were you trying to get to? Because you said you get into that. What were you getting to?
It makes no sense when Paul knows the contemporaries of Jesus. That makes no sense. How he knows Peter and he knows his brother.
And more importantly, Paul is a contemporary of Christ.
Exactly. But I want to know if he's not going to use Paul, what are you looking at? Because you already mentioned to throw out Mark. So would you provide us with what you're looking at for the life of Jesus?
And we didn't throw out Mark. We still ain't got that.
So with that, if we're talking about gospel,
what were you looking for? You said you were looking for a copy without Mark or Paul's name on one of the testaments,
an unautographed copy of Mark, right? A papyrus of Mark's gospel, an early finding or papyrus of Mark's gospel that does not contain his autograph. An anonymous manuscript.
Yeah, they have the earliest surviving testament, mostly fragments, though, and many begin or end in places where the title is missing. For example, Piper's 52, P52. A fragment of John, no title, survives because the beginning is missing. Piper 66, Piper 75th, and it goes on a few more.
Facts.
So this is the point. Hold on, this is the point. They're sitting here trying to make an argument when guess what? They don't have any evidence that it was ever not like they didn't have an autograph. Like what did you talking about?
We keep saying this.
He just keep making this.
But I agree.
Stop.
I agree.
We're going to spend all this time about the anonymity.
Wait.
What I am going to do.
The pod's right. This argument has already been settled.
Yeah, he made a good point. So we should keep. So I move that we keep all the evidence in because we don't have enough evidence to throw anything out.
Okay, thank you for giving that point. Kassad made his point. Everyone put their points on the table, and that's where we'll leave it, and the audience will decide, just like it was set out in the beginning, because those are the rules of this court. And I think Brother Reggie did have a point where he said, okay, we should allow a little bit of time for this. Everyone put their points on the board, and then yes, let's move on for the sake of economy of space for the presentation or for the live.
Remember,
So
this
for
is
the
a
sake of
round
economy of
table.
space,
This is a round table. The only person, I mean, in the round table, Morpheus selected Yara. He selected God Energy. He selected Ashe. He selected myself, and I'm gonna leave on Nepal, right? I'm gonna leave on Nepal, right? So if so for the purposes of this, because the chairman selected for the round table. So now I did invite other people on, but it's getting out of hand. The only person who did not speak before I have to remove him is Jays. So I didn't hear from Jays. So after Jay speaks, I'm going to return to the 4 or 5 people originally selected for the round table, right? And because I see that this is becoming you were selected for the show for the round table, but we did let you in. So now it's getting out of order. So Yara can stay, definitely Nepal can stay, right? God Energy can stay, and Jays, we didn't hear from you. I don't think so. So how you doing? What's good? What's your thoughts?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, thank you for letting me on. I know you had a panel, but I wanted to say this because did Paul ever go into Egypt, or did he do all his letters was based on him going elsewhere?
Who are you directing that to? The Morpheus?
I'm asking the panel because all of the manuscripts, all of the gospels are found in Egypt, in Upper Egypt. So how did it get? None of them were found in Greece. None of them were found in, because the 7 churches I think were in Turkey, right? I'm not too versed on the New Testament, but so how did the earliest manuscripts of the Gospels? How were they discovered in Egypt and none of them in the places Paul went?
Well,
no.
I mean, can I say? Well,
yeah, I was gonna say you want to get that out, Yara?
Yeah, well, what we do know is according to some historical sources that Mark, was from Egypt, right? He was Mark of Alexandria, right, which is where they established the first church, right? So-called Christian church, so to speak, was in Alexandria, Egypt. And so when we talk about Paul did most of his travels in Asia, right? Syria, Asia Minor, Greece, Rome, right? I don't ever recall Paul ever being in Egypt, right? I know he was, according to some texts, he was mistaken to be an Egyptian, but he never, as far as I'm concerned, or my understanding, in Egypt at all. So,
right.
But the Gospels were being spread way before.
But they didn't
Paul.
find them anywhere else. They didn't find them only in Egypt.
Well, that's incorrect.
No, that's not. They didn't find any of the original Gospels in Palestine.
Well,
Turkey,
they haven't found any original Gospels anywhere.
Yeah, they did. Well, the earliest. You can only call it original because there's nothing earlier. So you got to go to the third.
That's not true. That it's nothing earlier. We just have extents or copies of copies of copies. That has nothing to do with the original.
So when was the original written? Because it had to be a date.
The original written. Well, there's attestations that Paul was writing about 50 CE, right? And there are some attestations that Paul had written letters that he mentioned within those 7 authenticated letters we talked about. He had written letters prior to 50 CE. We just don't have those.
So
he's talking about gospels. He's talking about gospels. You're talking about epistles, though.
Well, he
the
asked me
brother is trying to bring up
Paul. He asked me, was Paul ever in Egypt?
But he also said the gospels, the earliest gospels, are found in Egypt. He's referencing things like the four great unseals, like Codex Alexandrinus, Codex Sinaiticus,
No,
Codex.
No, he's
You know
not.
what I
That's
mean?
not
no,
what he's
before
asking.
that, the
And
manuscripts,
That's not
because
what he's
these
but
asking.
manuscripts that were
but
found in Egypt, they
He's
found
talking
them
about
in
P45. He's talking
yeah.
yeah,
about those things. That's what
Yeah,
he's talking
I wanted to just let you go,
they were
Yara, and
found in
then
Egypt.
I
about. No,
was
go ahead.
thinking maybe you were going to talk about, because you're talking about the information getting into Egypt. That's what you're asking, right? The gentleman with the
Yeah,
hat.
because it's weird that if they all went throughout
You
all
do,
these places, if Paul is authentic
right?
and he went to these places, why weren't there any manuscripts found of Paul in these places?
Okay, but I wanted to just point out, see, it's going into the
Yeah.
scriptures, even though he has not, it's not written in the scriptures that he was in Egypt. He was oftentimes prisoner, and there's part of the scripture where he was transported on I think a ship from Alexandria or to Alexandria.
He was headed
So,
to there. Yes. Go
there is that, and you can insert that and then say, okay, what is your point? Are you saying that the gospel could not have gotten there through Paul? Because he did interact with Egyptians or so-called Kemetic people and Romans in transport back and forth from Alexandria, even though he wasn't in the scripture there.
Right. It's
also,
just that
brother.
if Paul's
Okay, so
Also,
writing
my
James,
these,
brother,
James,
can I
I'm gonna let you
say this
go.
to you
I think
historically?
they got your point. I'm gonna
Okay.
return back to the panel with
All
all
right.
due respect. Okay,
Can
I
And
think you
just
made some great points. Okay,
just
thank you.
just to speak to the history of his question, what those findings would indicate is the importance of Egypt and Alexandria to early Christians and how central Christianity was in Egypt. So that's mainly what those things will point out, is where early Christians were, where early centers of Christianity was. And we would all agree that Alexandria was most definitely an early center of Christianity. You know
Can
what I
I
mean?
can I
So to
ask?
extrapolate more from that
All
is
right.
conjecture.
All right. All right. Hey, let me ask this question. Let me jump back in. Reg, share my screen.
I don't
Share
see.
my.
Okay,
I want to ask, ladies and gentlemen on the panel, do you agree or disagree with this inquiry? Outside of Christian sources, let me say it again. Outside of Christian sources, there is zero direct evidence for the existence of Paul. There are no Roman government records, no mentions by contemporary Jewish historians, no statues, and no inscriptions bearing his name. If you strictly exclude Christian texts, the evidence does not look like a direct mention of Paul himself. Instead, it looks like a crater in the secular record. A massive sudden historical disruption in mid to late first century that requires an explanation. So far, do you disagree with this answer from AI?
Um, oh wow, you're good. Let me tell you something. Let me say this. I don't disagree, but that for me and for others, again, even atheists who are Bible scholars, that doesn't discount the fact of the authenticity of it. So I don't disagree with that.
Okay, so just so we clear, right? We all on the same page, right? Based on what I just pulled up, I asked the question and it says
And
outside.
I may be wrong. Other people can expound on it. I don't, you know.
No. I'm just asking. I mean, you have a right. Everybody got a right to, you know what I mean? Agree or
Right.
disagree. I'm just asking based on inquiry that someone may put up, like I just did, and ask the question, and the answer came back and said, outside of Christian sources, there's no evidence of Paul. That's
Yeah,
all
I
I'm asking.
think. Well, I
That's all.
think. Well, no, Pa says you're good. I disagree with her. I think that's. I don't see any point to that. Here's the problem. The thing of it is that you guys expect these 12 apostles during their time, Paul during his time, for these people to be known in the four corners of the known world at the time. These were small groups of people dealing with local issues, right? They weren't dealing with all of Rome, all of Asia Minor. There were many things that are documented that we know occurred with the Romans and the Persians that we have no record of, right? There are whole legions that the Romans wrote about that we don't have bodies for, we don't have history for, just other than just somebody said they existed. So that argument fails to a degree. I don't care.
Are you? No, see,
I mean, it doesn't matter.
No,
I
but
mean,
I'm
a lot
saying,
of, a lot of.
hold up now, because if you say you don't care, that means you have a biasness.
No, I don't.
Because
no, I don't.
Listen, if you say you don't care, then you're adding what you personally
No,
feel.
what I'm saying is, I'm not. Brother, listen.
I'm just saying.
Listen, you can't tell me what I'm saying. I know exactly what I'm saying, and what I'm saying is, it matters not that no one wrote about Paul in any extra biblical sources, because it's Jews that are writing. Paul would only matter to them. Why would he matter to the Romans?
And that's why the argument is circular.
That's not a circular argument, brother. I don't think you know what that means.
I'm going to tell you why.
I don't think you know what that means.
I asked outside of Christian sources, right? The Christians are going to say, yes, Paul lived. Yes, Paul did this. Yes, Paul did. So I'm asking outside. I asked the question outside of Christian sources. Is there any evidence of Paul even existing outside of Christian sources?
Can I get in here and just add what I'm trying? You can. God energy. Give me 1 second. When I say it doesn't discount the authenticity, it's because the outside, when we talk about outside of Christian like theology and belief, there is a criteria set to authenticate the actual writings. There's a criteria that is unbiased, that's objective. It's outside of Christianity itself. Talking about the biblical scholars, they use the type of writing style, the vocabulary, the belief system of that time. And then they authenticate those letters of Paul. And so I said, I have no problem saying, okay, if you mean just the Christian Bible having that actual literature in it, fine. But the literature was put up to a test, a criteria, and it passed every point, therefore being authenticated. And again, back to this phrase, scholarly consensus, objective. Everybody said, hey, yeah, it's real. So that's what I just want to clarify. Go ahead, God Energy.
Yeah, Morpheus, you killed them with that. Because it's hard to argue with the AI overview like that, right? And this is why I brought up Marcion's school possibly inventing Paul, which is why Marcion then said he had a Pauline gospel. This is why they use the stylometric data to show, even amongst the 7 accepted, different scribes even wrote the 7 accepted Pauline epistles, like Ephesians, Thessalonians, and Colossians. You know what I mean? Those are part of the 7 accepted, and the stylometric data, the same stylometric data that shows Hosea and Amos are some of the oldest books in the Old Testament. That same style of stylometric data, meaning analyzing the phraseology, analyzing the language which the text is written, shows that multiple scribes even wrote the 7 accepted Pauline Gospels, right? So the fact that Morpheus brought up that there is no outside evidence to support that Paul existed gives credit to Paul himself being a religious creation, the same way Jesus is a religious creation. So this is very important because you can't use one traditional creation and fictitious character to validate the existence of another tradition, the traditional fictitious character. So
show us the source.
That was a bomb. That was a bomb right
there.
No,
it wasn't. Not to
can I at least finish?
You finished though. Go ahead. You want to come back in? Go ahead.
I wasn't finished. You
I'm
cut me off.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. That was a bomb right there. And I was about to pivot to the actual life of Jesus and what we can extrapolate from that. Because if you want to accept Paul, the man who said that he had Paul's gospel, meaning Marcion and his Evangelion, did not include Jesus's birth or the crucifixion. So this is then a hit to the life of Jesus and what happened in his life. But you know, we do need to move through these things, like Reggie said.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to address you, God Energy. I need some specific sources. You said there were discrepancies in the authenticated 7. You got to get some sources on that because I'm challenging you on that. I'd like to see your sources that gave you that misinformation. Go ahead and get that and we can move forward. I'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me go next. Again, so when we talk about people writing about these people, again, what we know historically is this was a very small band and movement at the time of Christ and at the time of Paul. There's no reason to write about them in a global sense of the known world at the time. There's no need to write about them. Why would the Romans care about what those Jews were doing? The only reason the Bible tells us that the Romans were involved is because Judea was subjugated to Rome. And it was the Jews that brought up the issue of these Christians to the Romans and saying, listen, this is a problem that we're having. Other than that, there's no need for Rome to even be involved. So why would they write about them in their history? They were not important to them. That's what the context of history tells us, and not just about the Christians, but many others. They're not important. So who cares that they didn't know one wrote outside of them, except for those who actually knew them and knew people that knew them, right? You keep
because
arguing.
they were all Christians.
You said what?
Because those people that you're talking about are all Christians, that makes this bias, that makes it circular. But I have Napaz's answer.
First of all, they're not all Christians.
I have Napaz's answer, by the way.
First of all, they're not all Christians, right? Some of these people were Jews who did not follow Christianity. Hold on, they were Jews who did not follow Christianity. So these were not just all Christians. But it's not secondary to the argument. These people were insignificant other than the small circles and places that they traveled.
Okay.
Noted. Can I answer Napaz real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You want a screen share?
It's called Statistical Approaches to Paul's Letters. And you can find it on Brill and other places.
And it says that the what is it? The 7
it's called the stylometric analysis, right? Because they're analyzing the style that these texts were written in, and that's why the work is called Statistical Approaches, because they're taking the statistics on the epigraphy.
Okay, I'm gonna get it. If you could tell me the website, I'll look it now. I want to pull it up because I have actually something to counter that. So I just want to make sure your position is that the ones that are undisputed, you're saying that there are discrepancies in the writing style.
Okay. It's not about discrepancies, right? It's just the scribal tradition. It's just what shows the scribal tradition. The same thing can be shown in the early Musafs of the Quran, like the Ma'il manuscript, the Sana manuscript, the Topkapi manuscript, the Tashkent manuscript, because all of these texts are produced the same way through these different scribal schools. So it's not about discrepancies. Believers might call it a discrepancy, but really it's just the data and the scribal tradition.
So you're saying, I just want to be clear because you made a grave statement. Mm-hmm. You said that these 7 that are undisputed by biblical, by the scholars, that even though they have different writing styles in the 7 undisputed, is that what you said?
Yes. In those 7 undisputed,
give me that information again. I just want to pull it up. What is it called?
It's called Statistical Approaches to Paul's Letters. And shout out to my brother Cosmic Sankofa on that one, because he does a lot of research on this specific topic. I do more of the Old Testament. We really should have had Cosmic Sankofa in here.
So and the website, do you have I thought you were going to actually.
One quick second. Can you all put in your Cash Apps, because there's audience members that would like to support you and if you could put up your cash apps, because your input is valuable, and we want to make sure that the people on this roundtable are compensated in some way. $1, $5, $10. So Nepal, if you could put up your cash app,
Thank you.
Yara,
Sure,
and
sure.
God Energy, and Morpheus. Okay, sorry about that.
Sure. So basically, can you tell me? I think I'm on the website here. I'm gonna read over this. It's degrader Brill, or is
Yeah.
this it? Degrader Bill,
Yeah, the greater Bill. Yeah.
DEGRUYTER.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
that
God,
it?
That's
just
one
put
place
it
where
up.
you could. That's one place where you could find it, right? But
Right.
this topic of the stylometric analysis of Paul's letters, you'll be able to run into a bunch of different things once you dig into it. Once you dig into it.
Okay, I'm
But
gonna
yeah,
look at it right now.
statistical approach to Paul's letters from De Groot to Brill.
Okay.
We can start.
Because I do want to reiterate what I said. I'm definitely going to look at this and see where you're coming from.
All right.
But we do have scholars who have challenged the Bible. The most popular, I keep repeating his name, is Ehrman. And he also has a criteria, as well as others, just like what I'm going to review what you have, a criteria that checkpoints, all these different things about writing and the time that the actual piece was produced. And as I said, it comes out that it is authentic and it's not just him. I mean, but I'm going to take a look at it right now. So thank you for letting me reiterate that.
No problem.
All right. Can I talk now, please? All right. Let's move past Paul, because we could do another show, which is Paul alone. I see that right now, right? I can see that, because Paul is a whole nother animal that deserves its own. You know what I mean? A
And Cosmic
conversation.
Sankofa gotta be at the round table on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I, before you move on though, because I was just waiting to speak, and I'll be brief. I just want to say, so the Gruder Brill article you talked about, it clearly states that the field lacks clarity.
I was just going to take a look at it. Y'all right, you beat me to it.
That's why they're clearing it up, because the field lacks clarity and they adding clarity
No,
to it.
hold on. The field lacks clarity on how to use the Pauline letters as a standard of measurement. Right? It says virtually all scholars who work on the problem make judgments about the authenticity of pastorals by way of comparison to a group of letters deemed authentically Pauline. So the argument is that they're making comparisons to copies of copies.
Come on. Let
To
me
what
drop
they
the
have.
link. Go ahead.
So it's not saying that the letters shouldn't be considered authentic, because it clearly says the scholars agree. So what it's looking at is giving us a mathematical analysis of modules and errors. It has nothing to do with whether or not the authorship is in question.
Keep digging into the stylometric approach. Keep digging into it.
I want to say this.
But keep going.
I want to say this,
you'll
and
see
more.
what I'm saying.
And more. How long is the show going to go on? I do want to say this. Okay, so the original part of what we were trying to do was to do a cold case on the death of Jesus the Christ, or Jesus Christ, right? Or Yahusha, right? We never got to any elements of the life and death because of Paul and Mark. So the what we wanted to focus us on is the evidence of the people who definitely knew him directly, right? Definitely knew him directly, so we could get a measure of what happened. We so that is so to the panelists, we still don't know what happened.
Right.
Right.
We haven't gotten there yet because we this whole thing has been about Paul. I'm like,
Why
what's
don't we
going
know
on?
what happened? The scripture tell us what happened.
So I
Okay.
also brought up the lack of Jesus's birth narrative and the
Hold on,
lack of
guys.
Jesus' crucifixion in his life story when we talk about these
Listen.
early, you know?
When we talk about the death, right, the life and death of this person, right, according to the affidavits that we call in Gospels, I'm going to ask this question, and we all know this is part of the story. When Jesus was on the cross, who asked for his body to be taken off the cross?
Joseph of Arimathea.
Okay. Do we have any evidence of Joseph of Arimathea's existence?
You are a tough judge. Somebody who's his heart knows.
Those are not tough questions. See what he's doing. See what
Wait,
he's
stop. Hold on, wait,
what
come on,
you
don't do that.
doing.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
No, what you're doing will never
Don't
be
do that.
allowed in a court of law, bro.
That's what I was like.
Don't do that.
Because
Look,
this is not a real
please.
court. That was supposed to be an
Listen,
analogy.
So this is a kangaroo court.
Stop. Come on.
No, this is a panel on YouTube, and we use the court
No,
for
this is our
analogy
court.
and metaphor.
Nepal.
This is a roundtable discussion
Yeah, it's a
on
round
YouTube.
table discussion.
Order.
Bro.
Nepal.
Yeah.
Sister Nepal. Hey, Reggie, can you
Yes.
share my screen? Share my screen, Reggie.
Oh.
So according to the story, Joseph Arimathea took him off the cross, right? According to the narrative, right? I'm asking, do you agree or disagree with this? What I'm showing right here.
Can you read it for us?
I'm sorry. You
Small,
are completely
small.
right. There is no independent secular historical evidence or external archaeological proof verifying the guy Joseph Arimathea even existed. So the guy who took him off the cross, right? I'm going step by step because the story is he died, he's on the cross, and this guy Joseph comes, right, and asks for his body to be taken off the cross. That's what the story says. So the first thing I'm saying is, okay, who is this guy Joseph Arimathea? What evidence do we outside of the biblical source? Because we know the biblical source is the one who mentioned him. Got that part. Crystal clear. The gospel mentions the guy. Got you. How do we verify the guy who got his body off the cross? And we come to find there is no evidence at all anywhere of the guy who took him off the cross to be put in his tomb. That's the first problem. Because I'm asking, you said he was taken
Why
off.
are you calling that a problem?
Oh my God. Because
Like,
the key word is I'm asking for evidence.
Oh, okay, so great.
And I'm
right.
asking, hold on, calm down for a minute. Calm down, please. Let's not do this, right? I'm saying I'm addressing evidence because this whole thing about
You're
the case.
not though, brother.
Oh my God.
That's
Okay,
the
wait one
problem.
second. Morpheus,
You're
who
not.
in the Bible mentioned his name?
Hold on, wait. I'm gonna answer that. But for Nepal, who I was asking, the person she brought up, Bart Ehrman, argues that Joseph Arimathea has been created by early Christians.
Okay. So
Hold on.
can I
And
come in
have my
after
hand
you?
raised.
I want to come in after Morpheus, please.
But I have my hand raised.
Well, then
And
you
I have
can
a
come in
Bart
after
Ehrman.
him. Then
I got a
would
Bart
love to-
Ehrman statement.
Sister Nepal.
Go ahead. Got energy.
I just hold on, wait up. I want to present my position. I'm asking because the very guy that you spoke of, right, Bert Armin, he also is agree with what I'm saying. He agrees that there's no evidence of this guy, Joseph Arimatheus. So if we don't have any evidence of the guy who took his body off the cross, right, I'm asking the question very simply, right? We don't, because I'm going, wait up. So in order for that story to be real, we got to start with A. Who's the guy that
That's
took him
the
off the
problem. That's
Okay.
the problem.
Hold on, because with Bart Ehrman disagrees with the entire
I'm
story of that crucifixion, because Bar Ehrman also points out that in Roman crucifixions, you didn't take the body down. In
And that's
Roman, Bar Ehrman said, in
I'm
Roman
after him.
crucifixions, he analyzed he looked at the text of the Roman crucifixions. The Romans left the body up there. Part of being crucified was letting your body be up there and decaying and eaten to deny you a burial. Right. So
great.
Bar Ehrman completely speaks against this
But
entire
that's
part
but
of the Jesus story. And he even points out the Roman records show that you get left up there when you get
that
crucified
that's
to
that's
be
perfect.
eaten.
That's
Well,
perfectly fine. But Jewish custom, we know
Thank you.
That Christ was crucified on right before the Sabbath. And so we
but
know
with
Jews didn't do, hold on, don't interrupt. Jews didn't do work on the
mhm.
Sabbath. So the story tells us accurately, according to their culture, they requested his body before.
you're
But
wrong
the
Right.
because
No,
I'm
crucifixion is
not
to
listen,
wrong.
purposely
hold
deny
on.
that. The
Let's
stop,
stay
point
on
of
stop.
track.
crucifixion is to purposely deny that. That's
Listen,
Bar
Let's stay on.
listen.
Ehrman's
Let's stay on
point.
That's
track
your
here.
That's
that's
Bar
your
Let's stay on
Ehrman's
track.
conjecture.
point.
Stop.
Crucifixion
Hold
is
Okay.
meant to purposely
Uh,
stop.
deny that.
You
So,
Stop.
okay?
and you're
Got
That's
it.
your
under Roman
conjecture.
jurisdiction.
That's
I
your
swear.
Okay.
conjecture.
No, it's
Let me
not.
let.
That's Bart Ehrman's scholastic
Listen.
opinion based
No,
on
it's
him
not.
analyzing the primary text of Roman crucifixions.
No, you're
That's not
making
my
things up.
conjecture.
Hold on.
Can I,
You're making. You're twisting. Uh, Dr. Ehrman's
No,
writing.
I'm not. No, I'm
No,
not.
I
may
let you
I?
go. I let you go, and then you said you had your hand up, so let me say this. He doesn't deny the crucifixion and we're talking about the
Facts.
unaliving, the murking of Jesus. He does not deny that.
I didn't say that.
Absolutely. You
I
did
didn't
say
say
that.
that.
Maybe you
No,
misspoke, but you
he
said,
denies that part of the story
well,
about him
you
being
said
brought
he
down
denies the
and fighting with.
crucifixion. And then
No,
you said the reason he does is because of the
Yes,
custom of crucifixion. Perhaps you misspoke.
yeah,
Now, so I want to
perhaps,
get back.
that's
Okay.
yeah.
possible.
So I want to
Yes.
get back on track, and I get what you're saying. Your point is taken. He does not deny the crucifixion because I'm going to get back to what you said about Joseph of Arimathea, Morpheus. If we're talking about the round table on the cold case of Jesus's uh, unaliving, right? We are going straight to Joseph of Arimathea, which I will get to that, without even talking about Pontius Pilate, which extra biblical information absolutely validates the text that Pontius is the one who sentenced him to be crucified. So I'll leave that on the back burner and let it cook. So let's get back to Joseph of Arimathea. Yara's absolutely correct. I'm not going to argue about is there extra biblical information on him, because so far there isn't a man named Joseph of Arimathea, but the customs of the people at that time were to, hewn out stone in a tomb to put bodies in there. That's valid, whether or not his name can be found anywhere else. And then for him to be a part of the actual Sanhedrin of the council, and for him to be a part of it, and to ask for the body wasn't a good thing. We got to use every point. If we're going to talk about this, we have to be fair. In ancient times, for Jews to write down that they had one of their leaders, go and ask to pay to take down the body of Jesus, to respect it after they begged for him to be crucified, they begged Rome, was a big deal. Why would they do something like that? You can't just discount and say, oh, that doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. Why would they write that down if it wasn't true? It wasn't something to make them look good. That's my point. So Joseph of Arimathea, yes, we can't find the name. We can find that it's a tradition of those ancient people, and it points to everything that they would do for someone during the Shabbat, and someone who they revere and didn't want to be, like you said, God energy, eaten by birds, mutilated. And I'm going to park my car after
I want to make a statement.
I'm
Okay.
going to,
The
okay,
problem is
go ahead.
the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, they're not in charge. Pontius Pilate sentenced him to death because his statements seemed to be ambiguous, because Caesar was God, right?
Yes, I
And
agree.
so Pontius Pilate, he himself, for doing this, right, breaking Roman law. Once he's crucified, that's Roman law. He himself would have been subject to being executed himself for breaking a standing Roman law because these people were subjugated. So the Sanhedrin did not have any power at this particular point. We would have to find an argument where Pontius Pilate himself decided, uh, because it was his decision, because the Roman soldiers, they controlled the space. So now once Roman law is to put you up, have you eaten, deny you everything, especially a proper burial, to make an example of someone like Jesus, who said that he was the Son of God, right? And there was a placard put on. So now Pontius Pilate would be subject to being removed, exiled, or death because of breaking his own Caesar's law. I just wanted to add that as a factor, not denying what you're saying, but the Sanhedrin had no power.
Now to back that up,
That's why I brought up Roman jurisdiction.
Now to back what you two just
And I
said,
didn't dispute that.
To back up what you two just said, Reggie, share my screen, please. Okay, what do we have here? Right? You have hit it exact center in historical theological debates around Jesus' burial. If an executed criminal was formally designated an enemy of the state, which is what Jesus was, formerly an enemy of the state, guilty of majestas, high treason, which is what he was found guilty of, Roman law explicitly barred them from receiving a proper burial, dictating that their bodies to be left to rot as a psychological warning or cast into common pits, because Jesus was executed on the charge of claiming to be the king of the Jews, which directly challenged Caesar's sovereignty. Scholars are sharply divided over why or if he would be treated differently. Modern historians generally break this into two camps. Now, prominent secular historians and New Testament scholars, such as Bart Ehrman and John Dominic Crossan, argue that Jesus was likely not buried in a private tomb at all because of his status as a political rebel, right? So then Bart Ehrman argues this part that they would not.
I was saying.
But you didn't say that. You said he said he wasn't crucified.
No, I did not say that.
As I said, you may have missed
that part of the story where Joseph of Arimathea brings him down and he gets buried.
Okay,
That's
we all
what
agree.
I was saying.
Okay,
we can run it back. You'll hear it.
We're fine. I don't have to run it back if you say you didn't say that, but that's what I heard you say.
All I'm saying is, Nepal. All I'm saying, this goes to the part that about the Joseph Arimathea, why I brought it up, right? Because I'm going, well, why would they let him off the cross, right? Like, why would they do that if he's the enemy of the state, right? It's like, that's like, you know what I mean? High treason. So why would they make this exception, you feel me, that they don't make? They don't make that exception for people. However, in the story that we read, they are making an exception. So I'm thinking, well, why would they make this exception, right? And according to what we're looking at, they would not have, this is what this says, that they would not have made an exception. And Bart Ehrman also argues the same thing that I'm arguing, right? So the problem, one, we can't find this guy Joseph Arimathea anywhere, right? So there's really doubt that even he existed, which goes against or sheds doubt on the story.
Okay,
right?
well,
Because
please, Yara, let me. I won't. I promise I won't take long.
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
I promise I won't. I'll just try to take 30 seconds.
Nepal,
Okay.
I'm gonna give you the floor, right? Because I want to hear from you. I really do, right? But I'm just saying my argument. I'm just laying my argument out, right? And I'm just saying, based on these two things, right, is why I have doubt in the story, because of the way the Romans, the way that they rock, they don't care about your religious, your religious beliefs or your religious, we got to bury him before the sun. Rome don't give a damn about what the Jews did. It's like,
that's not true.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
I know. I'm going to give it to you.
One
guys.
second. Just
Let's
one
get to,
second.
since we're
Wait,
talking about the
wait.
story now.
Pause,
And the
just
con-
one quick second. I have been breaking Sonetta's rules, and he's gonna call me up. And if you we're not getting the super chats. And Sonetta, he always gets on me, and I forgot. If you make a comment, right, I won't post it unless you give a super chat to the channel. Sonetta's gonna call me up later on, and he's gonna tell me off. And so I just remembered the fear of Sonetta. So please, we need super chats, and we definitely need you to support the panelists. That's just administration. And then for my time, Morpheus, you're going to end at what? 11:15, 11:30, because I have something I need to do.
But yeah, around there. Sometime, right between 11:15, 11:30. That's fine.
Ooh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but Paul, please go on because I like to hear from you.
Great. Thank you. And I appreciate this entire build. It's great. Okay. So none of us are disputing the thing about Pilate. So if we're talking about the actual story now, Joseph, the context of the story is that Pilate was highly reluctant. He even many times tried to save Christ from the crucifixion. Now, yes, it was a judgment of crucifixion for his so-called blasphemy against Caesar, but it wasn't, how do you say, and we can argue this, they didn't have to leave his body there to be picked to death. That wasn't the part. The judgment was to be put to death by crucifixion. In the story, I'm staying in the story. In the story, Joseph of Arimathea goes to Pilate, who already was reluctant and thought Christ to be innocent. He appeals to him and says, okay, he got the judgment. I'm paraphrasing it, but I'm giving you what the context text is. He says, yeah, the guy you put to death for being blasphemous, he was put to death. He's dead. Can I pay to get his body down? Pilate was like, wow, he's already dead? Fine. Centurions, go ahead and do it. So he didn't break any Roman law. He already was reluctant, since we're talking about the story, right? And that would be a reason why this exception is written in the scripture. That's all I want
Okay.
to say.
Well, I want to say this. So nice. I'm glad that we're doing this. So was Joseph Arimatheus, was he at the crucifixion? Yes or no?
I don't recall if that was explicitly stated.
Because-
Somebody else might.
All right. So the issue is, in doing any forensic work, if he had to have been there as
Right.
a member of the to witness that it was carried out, then he would have to have left there, right? So we need some timing for him to get to Pontius Pilate and to summon Pontius Pilate. We need a time period. Then we need a time period of Pontius Pilate making the decision, and then the time period of him going back and to see what time period of if Passover has passed or what period. So those are factors that we would have to look into, just adding to the point. So what's here? Yeah. Okay, I'll stop.
I'm sorry. Finish. All right. So I asked the question, right? Because you brought up a good point about Pontius Pilate defending him or really didn't want to kill him, right? And you say and you make the argument that he did make an exception, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right or wrong?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, share my screen and ask, because I asked that question, what you just asked, share my screen. And so I asked, Nepal, to be fair, I asked, what would happen if Pontius Pilate allowed a guilty person of treason off the cross, right? You see my screen?
I believe, yeah, that's... Mm-hmm.
It says, if Pontius Pilate had released a person guilty of treason off the cross, he himself would have been guilty of treason himself, resulted in his immediate removal from office, a trial before the emperor, and almost certainly his own execution. Under the reign of Emperor Tiberius Caesar, letting a self-proclaimed king go free was a career-ending, life-threatening crime for a Roman governor. So I'm asking the question. Let's say what you said is right, right? That he made this exception. So I asked the question: what if he did that? What would happen? This is the answer. So now it now brings to me even more doubt that he allowed him. You know what I mean? Off the
He didn't
cross.
let him go free. He died.
No,
Right.
no, it go free off the cross.
No, meaning alive.
Right.
They take the body down probably
Right.
after it's just totally.
No,
I don't know.
I'm
Maybe
saying-
they don't.
No, but
Maybe they don't. I don't really. That's not
they
relevant.
leave them up there. The part of being crucified is your body being left up there to be eaten, and for you to be denied all of your ritual burial and honorings. So the point of being crucified is to deny Jesus exactly of what this religious text claims.
Okay, so are we now? We're going to get into an argument about is it the execution of crucifixion and then on to death, or the cherry on top with them being mutilated by birds and become carrion. So
all of that is part of.
Okay, so that could be argued. That could be argued.
So let me finish, right? Because I'm not finished. So what you just said, right? About if he's alive, we're not talking about alive. I'm being specific. So it says in the refinement pinpoints the exact reason why the critical school of history argues Jesus' body could not have been placed in the tomb. You are completely right to look past the living punishment and focus on what happened after death. Under Roman law, the punishment for treason did not end when the heart stopped beating. The Roman legal system used post-mortem punishment specifically to erase a traitor's memory and presence from the earth. This is what God Energy is saying. If a governor bypassed this and allow a traitor's corpse off the cross for honorable burial, the consequences for the governor and the legal rules regarding dead traitors was severe. It was severe.
Okay,
So I'm asking the question.
So he made that exception at his own risk of his own death.
Right,
and you do see in the scripture that he is very perplexed, and his wife even said, "Don't do this. This is a bad idea. I had a dream about it." So I don't know. That's what I'm putting out on the table.
Yeah. So Morpheus. So you're saying if this is the position Pontius Pilate would have taken according to the biblical narrative and allowed it, one of the consequences is that he could have been removed from power, right?
He could have been removed from power or killed.
Okay.
Or
listen. I didn't ask you about any of that. He could have been removed from power, right? That's one of. But he could have been removed from power, right?
And executed.
Are you listening to me? I didn't
and
ask you
or executed, right?
Okay, so great, right? So
They
when
said
did
most
Christ,
certainly.
when was Christ's crucifixion dated to? What did most scholars
33 AD approximately, or 33,
Right.
36.
Right. So can you tell us then why or what is plausible criteria for the reason Pontius Pilate was removed as governor from Judea in 36 AD?
Good question. Let's look.
Now talk about dropping bombs.
Oh, well, watch this. No, hold up. You can't drop a bomb for a question.
I'm not dropping it, but it needs to be.
But I'm saying you can't drop a bomb from a question. You can drop a bomb for the answer.
I'm not dropping the bomb. I'm just saying.
But based on you guys' logic, this is the conversations we're having. Because God Energy is telling us, well, because the Romans did it this way, there's no possible way that could have been an exception.
So let's see.
You see the fallacies you guys are creating?
No, watch this.
No, I'm not saying there's no possible way that could have been an exception.
So it
I'm
could have
saying that the text. Wait, hold on. I'm saying that text is fictitious and it's going against what is historically documented on Roman judication. It's telling it inaccurately. It's talking about something that wouldn't have happened because it did not happen.
Well, but
and it's not in the Roman, and it's not in the Roman execution records, which they kept.
Got you. So, but according to Morpheus, if he was removed according to the Roman judiciary, then is it possible? Is it possible then that isn't what happened? And that's the reason why.
That's a good question.
Why speculate? Why speculate?
Listen, I got the answer.
That's what you're doing.
Listen, everybody calm down. That's a good listen, everybody calm down, please. Please. Brother Yara, that's a great question. So let's ask the question. And here's your answer. Pontius Pilate was officially removed from office in late 35 AD by Lucius Vitellius, the Roman governor of Syria. He was fired and ordered back to Rome to stand trial because he used excessive brutal force to massacre a large group of peaceful Samaritans at Mount Gerizim. Nothing at all to do with he went against the Lord. No. This
Hold
is
on.
why he was. Listen to me, bro.
Hold on. No. Hold on before you go
That
any
you
further.
retract a bomb?
Hold
Is
on
there a
before
way to
you go.
retract?
Hold on before you go any further. What was the reason for the uprising of the Samaritans and the Jews?
Listen, bro.
Hold on.
Listen.
No, I'm asking. No. The
Wait.
reason for the uprising we know historically, right, was because the Samaritan massacre of the Samaritans and the Jews that he brought about, because he had to show power over what he had just allowed to happen with Christ.
Yeah, but you just pivoted.
Is that a fact?
Yo, hold on, stop.
Nothing you're saying has been a fact all night.
Watch it, stop. You just pivoted.
It's conjecture.
Because
It's conjecture. It's deductive reasoning.
Listen. You asked the question. You brought up to when Sister Nepal said drop a bomb because you asked the question about why. Right, so you what you did, you dropped inside the bucket that he was possibly removed because he did let Jesus off the cross. However, now when we look and we read and we see why he was removed, it had nothing at all to do with Jesus coming off the cross.
How do you know that? Hold on. How do you know that?
We're reading it. We're looking at it in your face.
What it says was he was removed because of the violent suppression. There's a reason for the uprising he had to put down.
We're not talking about the uprising.
Yes, we are. Listen, you can't split hairs.
You moved the goalpost.
No, I'm not moving the goalpost. You can't split hairs.
And you got to admit you just moved it. You got to admit you just moved it.
Let me tell you.
I think he added some more of the opened up the.
Can I share my screen and let me show y'all why
brought in
Morpheus
the perspective. Brought in the perspective.
Let me share my screen and show y'all why Morpheus doesn't understand what he's talking about. Y'all got to stop doing this, bro. Watch this. Share my screen, and Morpheus gonna be quiet. Share my screen.
All right, good. Watch this.
Right? You see my screen?
Not yet.
Show my screen, somebody. Show my screen.
We don't see your thing yet. Oh, wait. Yes, I see it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'm asking him, right? It says, I'm doing what Morpheus does, right? Pontius Pilate was removed from his rule over Judea in 36 AD by Lucius Vitellius, the Roman governor of Syria. This removal followed Pilate's violent suppression of an armed Samaritan gathering near Mount Gerizim. This is what you just read, right? The cause of removal, right? Samaritan massacre, right? Pilate used armed cavalry and infantry to crush a peaceful or armed assembly of Samaritans led by an unnamed prophet claiming he could show sacred temple vessels on Mount Gerizim. The Samaritan leadership lodged a formal grievance against Pilate's excessive cruelty and slaughter. So there's a reason why these things happen. Now watch this. I said 36 AD. Your source says 35 AD. So now we're only talking about probably a year and a half after Christ is crucified. Right. Why are these things occurring, right? Because there is an upheaval after the Bible tells us that there is this religious uprising that is occurring. We know that Gerizim and the Samaritans, right here, it says right here, recall to Rome, the misgovernance brought by the Samaritans and Jews. What was the Jews' upheaval about?
Crucifixion.
So this is what I'm talking about. When y'all guys start saying this type of stuff,
I don't believe you just did that.
No, I believe what you just did. And trying to show this what you guys just.
I don't believe you just did that, yo.
Morpheus. It is clear that first Reggie brought up that if Pontius Pilate would have let Jesus down without being eaten, it would have been against Roman law. Then you looked it up and said if Pontius Pilate let Jesus down, it would have been against Roman law, right? then then Yara said, oh, it would have been against Roman law, and he would have been punished, he would have been removed. And he made sure to specify that Pontius Pilate would have been removed for letting Jesus down. He honed in on removed and didn't let you say executed. He said if Pontius Pilate let Jesus down, he would have been removed and
So what? He gave an option.
Hold
His
on.
source gives an option.
Hold on. Why are you interrupting me? Let's have some decorum. So
I got some
then he looked up that
misspoken,
Pontius Pilate. Then he looked up that Pontius Pilate was removed, relating it back to the punishment for Pontius Pilate letting Jesus down. Then you disproved that, and then the goalpost got moved as to why Pontius Pilate was excessively brutal to Samaritans to be removed. Then we clearly heard that, Morpheus. We heard it, Morpheus.
And wait, I didn't speak. Wait, Jesus did not like the Samaritans. The Samaritans didn't believe in any of the prophets. Wait. Okay, we'll find out if it's a lie.
That's a lie, bro.
Wait. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not go to the Samaritans." The Samaritans did not like any of the prophets of the Hebrews. None.
That's not true, bro.
That's why
that's not true. They all claim Abraham as their father. What are y'all talking about?
There's 2 commandments.
What are y'all talking about here?
There's 2 Ten Commandments. The Sumerian 10 Commandments. I think the 10th commandment made Mount Gershom the holy place. The Hebrews made Mount Moriah, Sinai the holy place. They disagree. Now, then what you say is, well, okay, so the Hebrews did not like Jesus Christ. You brought in some prophet.
They are Hebrews.
Of the Samaritans.
What are you talking about?
That prophet could not be Jesus
Christ. Samaritans are Hebrews.
No, they have 2. Yes, they are. Wait, first of all.
Don't make me do it to you, Reggie. Don't make me do it to you, Reggie.
Wait, first of all, Hebrews is a Greek word.
Oh, right? Here we go. Come on, bro.
Hebrews is a Greek word. The Samaritans have their own Torah. They disagree with the ones that came back from Persia.
Hey, bro, stop. Just stop right there. So the Samaritans only come about because they are a mixture of those out of the Assyrian, when the Assyrians in 725 BCE came in and removed them and deported them. You had Samaritans. You had the Samaritans that had the Assyrians had children with the Israelites, and this is your stock of the Samaritans. This is how you get these people, right? So
Babylonians were imported as well. Babylonians were imported to Samaria.
Yeah, that's true. But that's true as well. So that doesn't negate what I just said. But you are correct. But the point of it is that the Samaritans claim that Abraham is their father. So when you say he discounted their prophet, that's not true.
No,
right?
After the prophets, they accept Abraham, but
what prophets was Jesus talking about? Jesus wasn't talking about no other prophets than anybody else was talking about
prophets, except for they came back from Babylon.
Hold on.
You mean Ezra?
Hold on, guys. We're getting lost into Samaritans. No, let's not go. Please. That's another show, another topic. Right?
Yeah, but the point is that he was removed because of an uprising he had to put down because of the Jews.
But he wasn't removed because he let Jesus off the cross.
How do you know that?
But can we also point out that if we talk about and Pilate was historically known for not understanding the people and having them upset with him as far as the Jewish customs, the Jews. So oftentimes, if you look at the records, you can even Google it, he did things that he didn't understand their customs, and it made the people, there was civil unrest, so to speak. So he tried to comply. He tried to do better because he got reprimanded by Tiberius historically for not understanding their customs, using the I think the alms for the temple to do construction around that area, And then Tiberius is like, you can't do that. You can't upset them. You know how they are. You don't want an uprising, which that's what happens in this point that Yara talks about. So what I'm saying is, for him to take Christ off the cross to try to appease them in some way with their custom would be leaning toward what we see historically, where Tiberius is like, listen, you need to understand their customs. We don't want them to have another uprising. We don't want to, deal with these people in that way. So I want to point that out, that is historical record of Pilate trying to appease the Jews at that time.
Right. Now, if we bring in Josephus alludes to exactly what I'm saying. Shall I share my screen and read that to you? Or do you discount Josephus as well?
Yes. Why would I use Josephus, who comes later?
But hold on, because Josephus is writing at a time neither of us exist. So when I say that Pilate was removed, not just because of the Samaritans, what you hee-hee-ha-ha about, but also because of the Jews, and the reason probably existing is because of the crucifixion of Christ, Josephus indicates that very thing. Shall I read it for you?
Yeah, read it.
First, before you do anything,
Rob
gave to the channel. Rob gave to the channel $10. That's the first Cash App. That's important to the channel. If the channel don't get no money, then we can't have a show. So that supersedes everything else. I'm so sorry. If you got any more Cash Apps, family, put the Cash Apps up. I'm moderating for Morpheus, but I'm also moderating for the deck for the channel, right? Yeah. So that's important. Thank you, Rob.
Let's read it. You want to read it?
Let's. Is my screen sharing?
Read the Bart Ehrman. He says Bart Ehrman believes Jesus was put to death. Thank you. I just want to read that. Go ahead. Yes, thank you, Dr.
Absolutely, he does, and that's just a strong point. Is my screen sharing?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to
now,
get through
Reggie. So Morpheus, you're gonna have to make a decision. 11:15, which is one more minute. That's the time I have allotted for the show. Now, Nepal.
I'll hold back.
Okay, brother. We're gonna have to have a part 2. I really enjoyed this. I knew that this would be good when I saw Morpheus gonna do it.
Yeah. I like to do this possibly like every Sunday. You know what I mean? If you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have this.
I should be able. If you do it in a later hour on a Sunday, I should probably be able to get it in most definitely.
Yeah, like pretty
Morpheus,
much.
Mr. Morpheus, don't forget to talk about the debut of the channel you're taking over.
I thought
Reggie
was putting up the thumbnail.
Let's say it again. Morpheus, remind everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the channel right here is called the Roundtable 101. So please subscribe to the channel, the Roundtable 101. This is today is like a fast run. We're just doing a dry run. You know what I mean? To see how it go. And we're gonna tweak it. We're gonna get it right. But I think this is a good. You know
shout out to Morpheus, man. Shout out to Morpheus. And definitely shout out to Sarnetta, man.
Shout out to Sarnetta. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, brother Yara.
Yeah.
Shout out
to you. We discussed you earlier. We discussed you earlier before you hit the panel.
My ears were burning.
Yeah, brother Reggie.
About joining the panel.
Yeah, join the panel. I want to thank brother Reggie.
Yeah, brother Reggie, definitely.
Yeah, definitely Reggie.
Yeah, and thank goodness God Energy came in to
I'm with it.
So this won't be
I'm glad Yara and Napab were here. You know what I mean? So we can get two different sides.
I love God. I love God Energy. I love your information you put down, man. It's all love. Trust me, I respect everybody up here. We all talked about.
Well,
tomorrow, Mr. Saze is going to do a show about the debate that we had, Mr. Saze. So you need to watch that. Mr. Saze is going to he's going to put my presentation under the microscope, which he should have did at the debate, but he is going to do that. So watch out for his show. And Mr. Mabry, that's me. I wrote a 22-page paper in academia.edu, which I asked him to respond to in writing for academic purposes. YouTube is very great, but it's a lot of talk sometimes. So
That's true.
so my thing is he's an academic, so he says, right? I don't see any writing except for his trade book, but he's going to do it on YouTube. But I asked him to put it in writing. I can't tell him what to do, but if he doesn't put it in writing so that people can examine his point by point, then it's just going to his fan base. Because at some point, Yara knows, Mr. Morpheus knows, and definitely Napad knows, right? That at some point you have to write, right? Talking is transient, it's temporary. Writing is permanent. So play to your audience, Mr. Saze. That's fine, but I have a method to allow academia to see the pros and cons of the debate. So that's my last words. And Nepal, so when are y'all gonna close?
Whenever you guys, I'm ready to whatever close out. Whenever Morpheus, this is great.
Yeah, say like another 3 minutes, real quick. Let me say this right. Real talk, Yara. You know you're my man, pots and pans. you know, but this is good. This is good.
It's all
like
good.
that we can. You know what I mean?
We're gonna get it together. Yeah, we're
gonna get it together. But it's good that we can come on and sit at the round table and you know what I mean, and air this stuff out, different ideas, thoughts. God energy, you on point. Nepal, you always on point. You already know what it is.
I feel the same about you.
Yeah, but
well,
I think
even though you know what, you keep it objective for the most part. I love that. Go ahead.
So we just like let's do this again. You know what I mean? Do this again, Brother Reggie, man. You already know.
No. Brother Reggie is mad as a.
right. Because we didn't get to the depth, part, right? But I got you. But Rob 779, you're correct. Bart Ehrman believes Jesus is put to death. We also believe he's put to death. I'm not saying that's not the argument. We're trying to get into the details, right, of the you know what I mean, of the claims about what happened. We just unfortunately never got a chance to get to that because we digging through Paul and Mark, and I'm like, oh my man.
And Joseph of Arimathea.
Yeah, Joseph of Arimathea. Yeah, I brought that up. So
we didn't get to the other affidavits. We didn't get to the other affidavits either. I was ready for them other affidavits.
I didn't get to show y'all in the actual biblical narrative where John in the book of Acts chapter 12, his surname is what?
Mark. Yep.
So because it's missing on the later text where we know y'all just read the source that it can't be read because it's missing, because it's fragmentary. The reason why they're naming these books after these people is because these books have been in circulation for so long, people already know who they're from.
Well, here's your problem.
In the canonization, they just added it so you can read it better.
Right. That's conjecture.
In the bibliography.
That's what they say about that's the bibliography.
Watch this. You ready?
Yeah.
Hold up. Here's the problem. Reg, you started the music, man.
He's getting like Sonetta.
Hey, he gets it. Hey, he want to stay inside of the good graces. He already said it. I feel him. I ain't mad at him. It is what it is.
Final words, Mr. Morpheus.
Yeah, final words, bro.
Yeah. Final words is like thank everybody, man. I want to thank everybody who joined with a good spirit. You know what I mean? And we can like I said, chop it up, go through these things, and it might be a little. We might go at each other a little bit as far as the arguments, not at each other. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
But I like your arguments.
Personal shots. No personal shots.
I like the arguments that you put up. I like the arguments
you put up some great ones yourself, bro.
Yeah, I like the arguments that everybody put up. We just putting the arguments up, but I like that because I think the people can learn what's important from the way that we do this and move forward. You know what I mean?
And we're gonna solve this case.
Yeah.
All right,
y'all.
Peace, family.
Peace.
Only truth is currency. Yeah, charts on the left side, notes on the right. Questions in the air till the answers bite. No ego at the gate, no fake throne shine. Just minds in the circle and the discipline line. Mr. Morpheus speaks slow, then the room goes still. Elder Yara cuts through with the laser drill. Dr. Reggie check the pattern, find the hidden scene. Keep it moving like a well-tuned team. King J say stay centered, keep the spirit high. Sign letter on the mic, make the details fly. Black News 102, got the archive lit. Welcome to the table, now commit. Take the pride off first, bring the facts in clearer. If the answer ain't solid, it don't live in here. One ring, one circle, one common ground. Knowledge at the center, that's our only trial. The round table, leave your beliefs at the door. The round table, we came to analyze more. Welcome to the round table, where knowledge pays the score. Welcome to the round table, only truth is currency. Leave